All right, I think we are live on YouTube. Let's get Instagram going right now. Are people in the chat yet? I think, yeah, we go. Okay, here we go. Go live on Instagram. Perfect. All right, let's get going. And welcome to End of the World News, aka Everything is Fake and Lame. Today we have an awesome guest with us, my friend, 6G Agenda. How you doing today, sir?
I'm great, Ben. Glad to be back. Everything's very fake and lame. But also, especially with the this traditionalist movement, I'm just really enjoying studying this, man, because everybody's just hopping on the anti-Zionist camp so heavily, and I love just being a little bit ahead of it and being like, okay, where's this go actually? And man, it's been interesting. You've been picking up on it too, and the more I've been studying it, the more it's been showing itself to be actually what this theory is. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I have to give you your flowers on that one. I remember when Dugin first came out, and when I first saw him, I was like, who is this Russian plant? Because I assume everybody is a plant. I'm super black-pilled in that way. And then you were actually talking about it, this traditional movement. And then and I agree, because I think we both agree that Zionism needs to die and be replaced with something else so they can manufacture their prophecy. And then when Candace was going over to Russia to go speak at, what is it, Fife or something like that, their World Economic Forum meeting or whatever, and Dugin was there. I was like, oh, Andrew's been talking about this Dugin guy for a while.
Yeah, and I hadn't picked up on that quite yet, so I'm glad that you were right on that, because you're always on point with Candace, though. I mean, you've been in this whole influencer like complex. I mean, our conversations are the reason why that I've kind of been quicker with this stuff, actually. So I give a lot of credit to you as well in our conversations on this, because yeah, man, I mean, you start to be able to notice it and see where the narrative's leading, and kind of, if you just look deeper at the characters that they're connected with and ideologies behind it, you uncover the overall agenda. So it's not that hard to do, actually.
Yeah, before we go, let's just say what's up to the chat. What's up, Tim? We got Mark up in here.
Tim West. What up, Mark?
We got Ashley. What's up, Ashley? Who else do we got up in here? I don't know. They've been kind of censoring me lately on YouTube. I brought up the new data list that they were making about people who oppose technology on my last and dude, they severely censored that entire video. They got pissed. Yeah.
They tried to hit me with a restriction on the monetization, but they let it go through. Now I'll tell you what, I made an episode called Plandemic 2.0, and that was a horrible name choice, because dude, I'm telling you, I hit up Spotify because I'm like, yo, this isn't right. This viewer count is not right. Like, something's up. Like 10 listeners, bro. And I usually get 5 to 1,000. Usually I get like a good amount, in the first week. I'm saying in the first week. So I'm like, man, it's been over a week and we're 15 listens, huh? And I'm like, there's no way. All the episodes around here are like normal. Dude, they bog shit down. It's amazing that they have that control, because you would think if you have a few hundred people that always come and listen to a thing.
Yeah.
How the hell did they hide that from them? I don't know. It's amazing what they're doing.
So if you are listening, YouTube, we love AI here.
Love it.
We completely support that. We support everything that Trump and Netanyahu are doing.
Especially Netanyahu.
We love Netanyahu. We do
not.
Hasbara.
I love Hasbara too. Hasbara needs to pay me. I'll talk about Zionism in a good way.
Right. We hate Putin, that evil man.
Yeah.
I think we covered all the bases right there. But so basically, we talked about it a little bit last week on my live, but as you know, Candace Owens won over to Russia to go speak at their World Economic Forum. Dugin, who you called the brain of Putin, and he's kind of like the Steve Bannon type, right? So just like Steve Bannon launched Trump to the national platform after running the Tea Party, Dugin is kind of the man behind Putin, correct?
Yes, and it's amazing, man, the way he got his comeuppance, if you will. So we could go through a little bit of Dugin's history. I've got to actually it in this book too, War for Eternity, great book, got to read it. It's a must read if you want to understand this traditionalist movement for sure. But Dugin came up through the Red Army by proxy of occultism. So he actually was really deep into, I can't remember the movement right now, but it's like this occult group. He's a big follower of Crowley. We're talking about the 90s. He's got this kind of idea of what he wants to do with the world, this spiritual hierarchical movement that he wants to kind of bring back, because it used to be, he believes the West and democracy is doomed to fail. And I don't know if that sounds familiar, like Nick Land and these accelerationists or Curtis Yarvin, they've said the same thing. And so I think that you see this parallel kind of ideology. One's more about technological growth and this, becoming a new man digitally, the evolution of our, human mind by synthesizing with silicon. That's the Nick Land camp. Well, on this other camp, and this is, remember the digital temple concept we talked about, it gets right into that, because this traditionalist movement wants to get back to a hierarchical society of people that run the world, where nations remain with their own cultural values. So it's very much on ethno supremacy, like white nationalism. It's very, capturing the white nationalists is very important. That's why the JQ movement is very, a big arm of this, because what it really does is the JQ movement takes the anti-Zionist camp and drives them into the ideology of all Jewish people have a supremacist agenda and they are running the world. And therefore we need to just, like, the cultural demoralization of countries through, say, like mixing religions or mixing races is the reason why democracy and modernity is so bad. So the traditionalists, in other words, reject modernity, whereas the other camp rejects the current system of democracy and wants to go to the next place. I think they meet together with the idea that we want to destroy the current system and usher in a new one. Maybe we could work together on this kind of nation-based, technocratic Silicon AI. So I don't know what exactly the plan is with the ideologies merging, but they have. And either way, we'll get deeper into Dugin. But yeah, this Crowleyan kind of following led him into the occult, led him into the Red Army, where he started to actually rub shoulders with people like Putin. And so he actually took his metaphysical concept of what he wants geopolitics to look like, took some of the metaphysics out, and he wrote something called the Fourth Political Theory. And that's what got him on the map with the political movement in Russia and abroad. So
I do want to say, so if you guys don't know, this guy Dugin claims to be an Eastern Orthodox guy, right? Yes. However, his entire philosophy, right, is rooted in the occult. And to me, that is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Remember, guys, that these occultists behind closed doors, they're kind of like wolves in sheep's clothing, and they will use religion to further their agenda. And I'm with you. You have this East versus West. You have this Antichrist West, basically the spiritual traditionalist East. He calls it the Atlantean philosophy, pretty much. And the way he describes both sides are the exact same way they described Atlantis and Lemuria before they got into a war, before the flood, right? The days of Noah. I think the Bible says it will be like the days of Noah and the final generation. And ultimately what this, I shouldn't even say it's a battle, because behind closed doors, and maybe we'll get into that at some point, they all work together, right? Like Putin isn't really an anti-Zionist behind closed doors. It's all talk. I don't think Dugin is an anti-Zionist behind closed doors. They're just playing the role so we can, I think, watch the complete destruction of the global system that we have.
Absolutely. And as we get into it, we'll see how that, we'll peel the layers back on that. So first, let me share this with you. This is the fourth political theory here.
Okay.
You'll have to throw it up. It's on the bottom there. You can just share it.
Oh, it's right there. Okay, cool. Let me set it up right now. Okay, add to stage. There we go.
Yeah, so this is what I was talking about. He created this book in 2009. So in the 90s, he's kind of rubbing shoulders with the Red Army, kind of working his way. Once Putin takes, I think he took presidency in like 2000, right? He took over in 2000. He didn't get the oligarchs out till like a little after, so it took a few years. He had to pay off, allegedly, he paid off the Rothschilds and got them out of Russia, which I don't believe. But this is something that the JQ movement is actually pushing. And then he's with Dugin and pushing this movement here. So this book is about what I mentioned, which is he's claiming the foundations for an entirely new political ideology, this fourth political theory, which integrates liberal democracy, Marxism, and fascism. And so at one point, Dugin started something called, what was it called? Let me go find it real quick. Dugin's national Bolsheviks. So he mixed the concept of Nazism and Bolshevism. His national Bolshevism is something he started. So he's literally mixing the Nazis and Bolsheviks ideology together because, as I read in this book, it's one of the only things that actually slowed down America's growth and reach. So he's saying this helped kind of equalize America, so let's bring it back. It's kind of, so you can see the underlying ideology here is not good.
Mm-hmm.
So
You want to keep it going? Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of his geopolitical ideology. Now, what you mentioned, the Atlantean aspect, it's interesting because he does something kind of weird, which these occultists do to throw you off of the real agenda. Yes, he wants to bring back this new hierarchical God king system of rulers over men, where the rulers are like, enlightened, right? They're God kings. They're CEO kings, as Curtis Yarvin would call them. But the thing is, that is Atlantis. But he calls Western society currently Atlantean society. And he's saying it needs to be destroyed. You see? So you see how he's kind of doing this thing where he's like, no, Atlantis needs to be destroyed. But we're going to usher in this system that's different. But in reality, it is what Atlantis was. Well, so it's very good at layering the inversion there.
It's like the Pope working with Anthropic to create a good digital AI system instead of building the Tower of Babel. Ultimately, it's kind of the same thing, right?
Exactly. We're going to, divert from what it is, just like Peter Thiel, the Antichrist will be brought in by AI, but not my AI, only regulated AI.
Yeah,
what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? So then we have this, we have two camps right now. We have Argentina. Javier Milei just said that AI needs to be unregulated. We have to let AI, we could bring it up if you want in a minute, because he just came out with this. And I'm like, oh, there we go. That's why Thiel's, moving to Argentina. You have somebody who's espousing exactly what he says in his Antichrist seminars to his whole country.
Oh, let me tell you something. I can't tell you how much crap I got leading up to the election and right after the election when I was calling out Javier Milei. People didn't want to hear it. It wasn't popular. You had Elon Musk on the stage with them with that stupid, electric saw or whatever. And everybody's, yeah, he's a libertarian. It's a libertarian. And that's what I'm trying to get people to realize. This good versus bad paradigm is BS, especially in geopolitics. And I'll tell you one thing, it isn't biblical at all.
No.
Right? Biblically speaking, who is the prince of this world? Well, it's Satan. And then over each region of the earth, you have principalities and powers who work directly for Satan, kind of navigating those bloodlines in a certain direction. So you got to understand each group of people within a different region are different, have a different culture. So the deception is different than, say, the deception we face on the West. But make no mistake about it. And maybe I'm going to pull this up real quick. This is one of the funniest videos. I shouldn't say funny because it's actually tragic. But this idea that, Putin is this anti-Zionist. So here's the main Shabbat guy in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a conversation a few years ago. And just look what he says, right? So all the anti-Zionist rhetoric or anti-Western rhetoric that both Putin and Dugin tell the public, look what this guy says happens behind closed doors.
Russia and Israel are very, very strong. Everything that's happening in Syria, it's fully coordinated between Israel and Russia. They're on the phone every single day. The Ministry of Defense was in Israel around a month ago. Was an amazing visit and very successful. And there's whatever Russia is doing today in the Middle East is fully in coordination with Israel.
Right. So that's that, right? But even on a bigger scale, right? Remember, everything they teach. I'm going to pull this up real quick, and maybe we can read over a few things right here. So
if I may real quick, Putin says he wants to bring back the Soviet Union. Like he wants it to come back, yet he's the guy who dismantled it and destroyed it. Well, come on, man. I mean, it's very obvious. We're talking about controlled opposition. Russia is probably the biggest controlled opposition out there.
Yeah. And just look at Candace Owens right here. She goes, first of all, I love how she lied to all of her followers and was like, I'm going there on a family vacation. My husband loves outdoors and fishing. I'm like, come on, he doesn't love the outdoors and fishing. But right here, she writes, and there's all these beautiful artwork, and hey, listen, if you go in any church all throughout Europe, you're going to find a lot of beautiful Christian artwork. Does that mean that Russia is this, Christian society? Clearly not. But
Mm.
she writes right here, the Christian expression and heritage here is unmatched. Unsurprisingly, they are lying to us about Russia. Now, there's a lady down here, and I just found this funny because remember, the facts do not lie. She writes, Candace Owens is in Russia now posting about how amazing it is. As someone who grew up there, I can tell you with absolute assurance that you're being played, the actual realities, right? She says, church attendance is very low. Only 6 to 15% of self-identified Orthodox attend regularly a month or more, with many surveys showing 3% weekly. Islam is growing rapidly, projected to about 40 to 20% of the population, with a higher observance and fertility rates, while active Christianity is shrinking in practice. Drug and alcohol use, STD, abortion rates remain among the highest in the world. Russia has historically led per capita and alcohol consumption, still ranks as high on the STD incidence and abortion ratios in Europe. Birth rate is critically low, with total fertility rate around 1.37 children per woman, well below the replacement, a record low births in recent years. I'll just read one or two more. The ROC Orthodox Church is pushing people away from Christianity by using openly corrupt and supporting the war, right? Remember, they're supporting this war in Ukraine, which is sending 1.5 million Christians through the meat grinder, right? Both, my mother used to tell me it takes two to tango when I would fight with my sister, and that's exactly what happens in war. And both sides are making money on the military-industrial complex. Now I'm going to read one more, and I'm going to ask your take on all of this. Now, all the information above is just facts. It's not some random pictures. And in general, it's not a great idea to trust someone who has been caught lying and contradicting herself dozens of times. So what say you about all this stuff about Russia and what Candace Owens is trying to portray Russia to be to the Western audience?
Oh man, I'm getting attacked from people for calling out the Orthodox Christian, Eastern Orthodox Christian Church being what is going to be used to help usher in this occult theocracy, which in other words is the merging of the religions via a perennial philosophy, which is this idea that all religions have a underlying core teaching and that it's all really one thing. That's the Luciferian doctrine, in my opinion. And so the way that they're going to do that is through these traditionalists that pose and LARP as these super Christians, but then we have video of her talking about astral projecting. We have video of her talking about being like new agey, right? And so it's very interesting to me that that their version of Christianity seems to line up perfectly with this theocracy style of thinking, which Dugin, let's back up a little bit. Alice Bailey, she created the Lucis Trust Theosophical. She's the heir to the Theosophical Society, right?
Well, real quick.
Yeah.
Just so everybody listening, Lucis Trust was originally Lucifer Trust.
Yes.
And the occult myths of Atlantis and Lemuria are derived from theosophy.
It gets right back into this Atlantean Lemurian concept, which, by the way, just like Dugin, she was an Eastern Orthodox Christian turned theosophist. And again, we have Dugin, who also espouses theosophical teachings, Crowleyan kind of ideal, this Golden Dawn kind of concept. And then you have people like Agrippa. Now, this is somebody that I kind of like talked about last time, but I've learned more since I went over him in my show. So I'll be covering this more on my show soon.
Mm-hmm.
Agrippa is somebody who wanted to merge Hermeticism, Kabbalism, Christianity, and all these things together, right? And he was a major, dude, Agrippa is like the guy you go to if you want to know like about magic or Hermeticism. Like this book is literally called Agrippa's Occult Philosophy, Natural Magic. And in here, I can read the back real quick.
Yeah,
written by a legendary scholar of Renaissance esoterica. This is the single most important text in the history of Western occultism. So this guy is like the guy you go to if you want to look up that. Cornelius Agrippa combined classic Neoplatonic, which is Plato, which is Atlanteanism, this whole idea, Hermetic philosophy, and the elements of Jewish Kabbalah and Christianity to form a systematic exposition of occult knowledge. So you see how they want to merge this metaphysical, occult, Hermetic understanding of the world with geopolitics. He's not outwardly saying that now, but if you read his works, he's very big on that. And that's the point of this, is this new Atlantis, where, you know, everybody has to be spiritually enlightened. And if they have to do it via implantables for a digital enlightenment, great. If not, then they're going to, you know, do the classic old, you know, propagandic kind of manipulation of the mind. Like, I've got a connection with God that you don't have, you know, that kind of shit. So it's going to be one or the other. Either way, we're going to have people ruling over.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, the Western occultists view America as Atlantis, right? All of our presidents did. It goes back to Sir Isaac Newton, who was a Rosicrucian, who referred to the Americas as the New Atlantis. It was kind of the playbook for these Freemasons that they use to manifest the reality that they want. So once again, Dugin knows exactly what he's talking about when he's referring to America with Atlantis. And you better believe you read Sir Isaac Newton's book, The New Atlantis. There's a reason why a so-called Orthodox person, his entire philosophy is based off the occult, because he's not a real Orthodox Christian and he's playing people.
Exactly. And, you know, the Jesuits and the Catholicism kind of gets into this as well. We could get into that in a minute, because we know that as we work into this, traditionalism kind of merges Eastern Orthodox Christianity with Islam. That's why the anti-Zionist camp is major Muslims, and then they're trying to capture the white Christians. Right?
Yeah.
That's the idea. So they can merge that together. That's the traditionalist MO. So if you look up Agrippa and how it connects to the traditionalist ideology in the 20th century, his work is frequently studied alongside of the traditionalist school, because his work embodies the core philosophy perennius, which is this, what I mentioned, perennial philosophy, the belief that a singular primordial wisdom is underlying in all religions and philosophical traditions. And so that is the primordial wisdom that I was talking about. The macro, micro comes from him, as above, so below, all that stuff. But his relationship with Christian orthodoxy was highly adversarial, and he sought to reform religion. So this guy is not, you know, so when you have people that are traditionalists that study Agrippa, say that they're Orthodox Christians, but then he has a contentious relationship, it starts to become obvious what's going on. Because if they study the guy who wants to merge the religions, but then they're claiming a religion, but then they also study, come on, what do you think the real plan is?
Yeah, and you know what it just comes down to? No one likes to look at the side that represents them, right? They have no problem, and we do it on the show, to call out Zionism, but the minute you call out Orthodoxy, at least the institutions that control it, like, no, that's impossible. And that's hardly the truth, right? And I say this to people, if you're just honest and suspend your traditions and what you believe, and I'm talking about the institutions, I'm not talking about the people, I'm not talking about the faith, right?
Yes.
If you're talking about the institutions, if you go down the rabbit hole, what you will find out is that every single major institution, when it comes to religion, is ultimately connected to the same apparatus that all these other ones are, right? Just like the anti-Zionist movement is controlled by the same apparatus as the Zionist movement. And I just think that we have to be honest, but for some reason, the public has no problem calling out Zionism, but they just refuse to look at the other ones as well.
Exactly. You know, let's do a little experiment here. Here, we could pull this up. You can pull this up whenever you want. I'm going to do something here, because I think this is interesting. So I think you'll find it interesting as well. We'll do this with two people. We'll do this with Candace, and we'll do this with Tucker. God, this woman just won't stop posting about Russia now. Have you noticed that? She's made
don't even get me started.
Constant post about Russia.
But here's also the deal. It's like the $7,000 club gets it wrong too, right? It's like, oh, she's this agent for Putin and this and that. So automatically all the people who found as Candace go, well, if they're saying it, I'm not going to believe it, right?
Exactly.
But even that, I think, is a psyop, and we kind of touch base upon it, because behind closed doors, guess what? Putin, the brain of Putin, works hand in hand with the Zionist movement. You just heard that Chabad rabbi saying that anything they want to do in the Middle East, they run through Israel first. So it's all
keep that in mind as we talk about this, what she's saying here. Honestly, the Zionist lore regarding Alexander Dugin is kind of making me want to meet him. This is on May 27th, okay? If she met him on June 3rd, do you not think she had her plane ticket already bought and she already had the plan to go meet him? She's seeding this in the mind for her listeners to kind of like prepare them almost for this and almost create a pre-narrative to why she's doing it. So that way she could keep anybody from getting on her trail.
One more thing also, she's also giving fuel to the $7,000 club to start calling her out, because these two groups, they feed on each other.
They do.
Right? That's how they keep the division.
And they do a good job because they point out Russian collusion and how that's been proved wrong. So now, since Russian collusion wasn't real, anybody that points out people going to Russia and how they're controlled by Russia, it's been discredited. So they discredit their own movement on purpose. That happens all the time, man. That's like the MO is, okay, we're doing this thing. How can we discredit it in the process so nobody actually notices it's what's really going on?
You know, it's really interesting too. I made a little video about Dugin for my Instagram, and someone made a very good point. He was like, he's like, and he wasn't like a shill for Hitler or anything like that, but he's like, if you watch that, and you know, that movie is some truths mixed with a lot of lies, but that whole Europa final battle, right? He's like, it's the same playbook. They create the conditions so that the people are more susceptible for the controlled opposition.
Yes.
And you're seeing that happen in the West right now. So when you look over at this traditional values in the East, and we just, you know, read the facts that don't align with that with anybody, these people are more susceptible to saying, oh, he's a good guy. He's a good guy, you know?
No, exactly. You know, and my whole thing with this is that the anti-Zionist camp is right about a lot of things. But for instance, if I know that there's a color revolution going on, let me pull this up real quick. So look at this, Ian Malcolm. This is one of those controlled.
Oh God.
Right?
Yeah.
I said, so he posted something. Now this guy's so stupid. I've argued with him about this being like a controlled movement. He like forgot. And so he'll just like answer me still. Like I DM'd him the other day and said we should have a conversation about this movement. I'll pull up the DM in a minute. I said, is this connected to Alexander Dugin's fourth political theory? And he liked it. Nobody else likes it. I get point of view. It's so funny, dude. Like this guy will have 3K. Oh, yeah, I posted this like when he first, and I'll get 20 views, bro. That's how they lock it down.
Yeah.
When you when you have a blue check mark on X, just for everybody that doesn't know, if you have a blue check mark on X, they're supposed to put you like towards the top of the comment section. There's 9 comments on here, 3,000 views, and I have 20 views.
Yeah.
How does that make any sense? It doesn't. It's impossible, as a matter of fact. Well, unless they're hiding your shit or like bogging it down. And that's
they're definitely doing that.
I just had somebody, but the reason why I bring that up, one more thing. I just had somebody say, man, you must be going crazy out here, screaming into the void with me and one other dude liking your post. I'm baffled. I'm baffled as to why people aren't more interested in what you have to say. It's like, it's not an interest problem. It's a fucking algorithm problem. You know, it's so funny to me, man. It's just so obvious.
Well, the funny thing is like people actually thought that X was this free speech platform. And if you look at, you know, when Elon Musk bought it, one of the guys that bought it was Larry Ellison with him. Right?
But the JQ movement's all about Elon.
Yeah, right. That
like he's the good guy. He's the reason why we could talk on here about the, you know, JQs.
Yeah,
know? So
it's one big honeypot, right? And they wanted the databases of all the people that wanted to talk about that. And, you know, then they locked down this, you know, and even when the CEO came out, like Linda Yaccarino, straight from the World Economic Forum, and she was like, freedom of speech, not freedom of reach. And that should have made everybody's hair, you know, stand up. But no,
Elon said
Elon Musk for free speech. Elon Musk is fighting for free speech. And dude, first of all, where did he get the money to buy X? Well, he got it from a lot of these private donors, but also the banks, right? Yeah. So if he was really fighting for free speech and on the, you know, the side of the people, these banks would not have given him the loans to buy X. It's because it's all worked out. It's one big system, and X was always part of their plan.
All of his money comes from government contracting.
Yeah, I do want to pull this up real quick.
Biggest deep state agent you can have. All of his money is from government contracting. Everything. Tesla, he didn't even own Tesla. He literally bullied people out of Tesla so he could become the Tesla guy. It's made them sign NDAs and shit so they couldn't talk about what he just did to them. And,
it's all BS.
Became the Tesla guy. You know, it's all funded by DARPA and the government, just like Jeff Bezos.
Yeah,
you know, these guys.
I do want to bring this up real quick because I do think this is answering. We kind of talked about this earlier. Alexander Dugin, often spelled blah, 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 explicitly promotes an alliance between the Orthodox Christian world, centered on Russia as the Kachan or the restrainer and the Muslim world
Yes.
to oppose what he sees as the Western Antichrist or the Dajjal. And if you notice, let me see if I have this up here. I should. So Tucker Carlson, when he was still wearing his red Kabbalah bracelet, went to Russia and actually met with Dugin and interviewed. And then after that, he went on a speaking tour and still does go on a speaking tour. In fact, he bought a house in Qatar where he's trying to unite the Western Orthodox world with the Muslim world in opposition of the West, in opposition of primarily the Zionist regime that is controlling the West. So you can see how, once again, he's just playing a role in Dugin's playbook.
Yes. Let's share this on that point. I'll throw
Take it
this
off?
up. Throw this up real quick. Yeah, throw mine up real quick. Let me show you this. Speaking of the merging of Islam and the traditional, so Julius Evola is a major traditionalist. Okay, this is a huge name if you're studying traditionalism. So Steve Bannon, you know, he references him as well as Dugin. Evola is associated with traditionalism, and it critiques modernity and emphasizes a return to a spiritual hierarchy, as I mentioned earlier. His ideas have influenced various traditionalist movements, including some with Islamic context. Well, we'll get into that in a minute. But where's that thing about the Kali Yuga? Actually, here it is. These guys believe in this whole Hindu philosophy of the Kali Yuga, dude.
Well, you know, when the Kali,
So
you know,
that's theosophy right there. Sorry, go ahead.
Real quick, and then we'll go on. But you know where a lot of Hindu scholars think we're at the end of the Kali Yuga? A lot of people think it was 2025.
Yes, and Joe Rogan brings it up. All these other people bring it up on, you know, they're trying to bring the Overton window to this ideology that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So he examined various traditions around the world, both Occidental and Oriental. Julius Evola also had things to say about the tradition of Islam that is predominant in areas between the two regions. In his valuable article, Islam in the Eyes of Julius Evola, the Italian Muslim Claudio Muti says homage to his ideological father because he went to Italy and actually helped seed the fascist movement with his ideologies. So you see this Italian fascist. Now, have you noticed that recently there's been like, Nazi salutes that were being given by young military guys in Italy? That's just like Steve Bannon gave a Nazi salute, just like Elon Musk gave a Nazi salute. These guys are a part of this thing that's going on. Anyway, so now it makes more sense why they would do that. So among the aspects he points out to Evola in his work, rather, is a direct connection of his tradition to the primordial tradition itself, such that Islam is independent from both Judaism and Christianity, religions whose characteristic themes he rejects. So this conclusion is essential. It demonstrates the lengths of which Evola not only rejected those who want to separate Islam from the primordial tradition as something foreign, but even that he regarded it as superior in certain aspects to the other traditions. Now, that is being put forth a lot because Iran, everybody's saying how they're Shia Muslims. These are Shia Muslims. They don't participate in violence. They don't want to make nuclear bombs. They are good people. These are not the kind of Muslims. They're materialists. They're actually good, holy, equal to Christ. They venerate Mary. They just made a train station with Mary on it. So you see how this kind of is happening, right?
Well, I mean, the Orthodox believe that Mary is the bridge to unite the Muslim and Orthodox world because of the Mary apparition in Fatima. And if you look at Tucker Carlson's studio, right on the left-hand side of it, you have a poster of Fatima.
Do you want to pull that up? We'll pull that up in a minute, definitely, because I didn't understand what that was before. And now that I've been looking into this, I get it now. So I'll just finish here. Evola characterized Islam as a tradition at a higher level than both Judaism and the religious beliefs that conquered the West. See, because they want to destroy the West, and what's going to replace it? Islamic occultism, Islamic theosophy. So anyway, this is interesting, man. You can go look at this if you guys want to. I'm telling you, they're mixing this idea of the Kali Yuga with Christian perennial philosophy. It's very crazy.
Well, I think it's interesting when you hear people talk about the Kali Yuga, you hear the collapse of our current system, which is being ruled over by some, evil goddess demon named Kali. And then this new one, do you know how it's described? It's described as all this awesome technology, this evil, cloud hanging over the earth is then, disappears. And humanity can thrive at its highest extent. And they always talk about technology. And to me, I think the end of the Kali Yuga is the beginning of the beast system. I mean, what's happening right now? They're talking about this major technological revolution that's going to happen. We have, the UFOs that we reverse engineered. Yeah, I think QAnon talks about the med beds and all that type of stuff. So I think the end of the Kali Yuga is really the beginning of the beast system. And then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, dude. So there's this book. I don't know why it's being weird right now. Etidorfa, which is Aphrodite backwards. And you see where I'm going with this. It's called Etidorfa, the end of the earth. And we're talking about this new kind of age, this destruction of the old world and beginning of a new world. Etidorfa is Aphrodite backwards. The lady, Aphrodite, Mary, like this goddess concept that Stephen gets into a lot, gets right into this. And they're literally laying out the idea that that this thing is going to come like at the end of time. Let me see if I can find a little quick. So Manly P. Hall had a whole thing where, Manly P. Hall.
Oh, wait, hold up. Do you want me to pull this up?
You can. I'm just trying to find. Manly P. Hall broke this book down. And in this, he broke down what I'm trying to say, but it's like, I cannot find what he said here. Oh, here we go. I think I found it.
All right.
Impact of Etidorfa. The text asks probing questions about our understanding of truth within secret societies. The parallels draw between the fantastical element of Etidorfa and the clandestine nature of Freemasonry suggest deeper implications than previously upheld. Now, this is a book about going into Hollow Earth, and it's like it's kind of like a science fiction book, but it's weird that he like took the time to break it down as it was Aphrodite. It gets into this kind of symbology that we're talking about with the New Age and in the lady, and I just found that the other day. I was like, I'm gonna read that, see what that's all about.
Oh, I do want to pull up something real quick because I do find this hilarious. I love just calling out hypocrisy when I see it.
Yeah.
Here we go. Where was this? Oh, you want me to play something to Tucker Carlson?
Yeah, a little bit of that Dugin and Tucker, because you can hear both of them. They have the same ideology, man.
Well, I don't think this is Dugin. I just think that this is right here is some. So
there's an incredible book.
So this guy basically right here is, and if you notice, all the people that Tucker has on his show when it talks about Christian values are either Eastern Orthodox or Roman Catholic.
Yes.
Both Orthodox, right? So that's that idea.
Or they're like American Christian that literally sound exactly like Tucker. Like they sound like they've been indoctrinated into his ideology. If you listen to a lot of American guys go on there, you can hear them trying to show that they're in the club. You know what I mean? Like they believe the same things that this show talks about. Like you could tell they do that.
Yeah, and here's this Orthodox guy talking about how the West is this devil and all this stuff. And once again, it's that good versus bad paradigm, that Dugin philosophy that this guy is ultimately pushing. And the way he talks about it, it was pushed way before Dugin as well. Let's watch this real quick. It's about 2 minutes and 27 seconds.
So there's an incredible book, and I'd love to recommend it to you. It's by one of the greatest saints of the 20th century, a man who lived through both World War I and World War II, actually got sent to Dachau. His name is Saint Nikolai Velimirovich. He was a Serbian bishop, monk, and an incredible scholar. He had 2 PhDs, an Oxford PhD, a PhD from Bern. He preached in World War I, and then again in between the wars at peace conferences, and then through World War II. He preached in all of the cathedrals of Europe and America. He was very well known, one of the most famous clerics alive. He spent his last 10 years, unfortunately, because of the creation of Yugoslavia post-World War II and the communists, he couldn't return to his home country. So we, as we often do in America, welcomed here, and he loved us. And he spent his last 10 years in Pennsylvania, traveling around preaching. He preached in Harlem. He preached St. John Cathedral in New York. He preached everywhere in America. He's an unbelievable person. He wrote a book called War and the Bible.
Real quick, look how stupid his staring face is.
Yeah.
Every time I'm really paying attention to this guy.
I know. My favorite thing is whenever he acts like he doesn't know something.
Oh, when they were talking about Freemasonry, he's like, I don't know anything about it, but I have a Freemason sword from the lodge down the street right in
Yeah.
my studio.
Yeah, he literally said that. I
My
know.
dad.
He's like, yeah, I've got a lot of Freemason memorabilia. I couldn't tell you a fucking thing about it.
My dad was in the CIA. What? This is news to me.
Yeah, I didn't find out till he died from Nick Fuentes.
Right?
Like,
Oh,
what?
and that's what I'm
Crazy.
saying. That's the one thing about like all these influencers within the anti-Zionist movement. They refuse to look into the leaders of it. And if you watched my last podcast, I was like, the similarities between the anti-Zionist movement and the French Revolution are almost exactly the same.
They're identical.
Almost exactly the same. When you have this hidden hand,
Mhm.
which would be either intelligence, but the intelligence organizations are controlled by these, Masonic groups, whether it's Shabbat. And I use Masonic groups as like an umbrella, right? Throw Jesuits, show Shabbat,
Absolutely.
whatever you want to say. These Masonic
Theosophy. I
groups.
mean, Theosophy and Freemasonry, they're the same thing. So when I'm saying Dugin's a Theosophist, I'm saying that's why the Freemasonry, we'll get into it in a minute. But yeah, Gwennon, who's another traditionalist, when you read what he thinks, it's identical to what the Freemasons think. So
Yeah.
it's because it's one, just like they think there's one underlying philosophy, there's a lot of secret societies and schools of thought that all believe the same thing.
Yeah.
Just a different way.
Oh, for sure. So let's just see what he says real quick about this, and first of all, don't worship the saints.
Yeah.
Nowhere in the Bible to say to worship the saints. And I always say this, when it comes to like the presidents that got like monuments or been like people who've been knighted,
Yeah.
generally they're not the best guys. I'm just saying, if you actually knew what really happened in their life, not what the propaganda about what they did was, just be careful.
Think modern day Nobel Prize winner. You know what I
There
mean?
you go, yeah.
Usually they don't do the best things, but they get like a prize. It's like the same thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Same
hey,
thing,
good
yeah.
job. You impaled like more people than anybody else. Here's a knight. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
one more thing I want to say. One, I
Yeah.
don't know where the hell he's even going with this, to be honest with you.
Oh, he's going. I mean, I guess I can fast forward a little bit. Basically, what he's saying is after the West, after World War II, Satan won.
Yes.
And Jesus left and Satan took over the West. And once again, we just went over all the statistics of what's really going on within the Russian society. So this idea that, the West is this, God depraved, Satan controlled region of the earth, but the East, this traditional Eastern movement, because we have these pretty churches, that means our body of people is somehow different. That's hardly the case. The East is just as rotted out as the West, which is all by plan because they want to collapse it all and create a one world government. So,
I mean, all of Russia looks gray. And also, I want to mention one thing. This is kind of what I was going to get at. So they've proven that the Q movement is an Israeli PSYOP, right? You're saying how the French Revolution matches this a lot. And I've talked about how the Bolsheviks and Operation Trust is very similar to the Q movement. Well, that is like what this movement is too. So the French Revolution, the Bolshevik, Weimar Germany, it was all done by the same people is what I'm trying to get at. If we've proven that Q was started by Israelis, in this little Operation Trust situation.
Yeah.
But we also know it's connected to 4chan and Steve Bannon, who's connected to the traditionalist movement, the anti-Zionist camp. But we know that the Zionists created the Q movement. We've now proven that it's the same thing. It's opposing forces of the same thing because we have people connected to the same PSYOP operation running game for two different sides.
Well, that's
one
why
Zionist, one anti-Zionist. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah,
that
and
proves that this is one movement right there.
Oh, absolutely.
As much as you can prove it. I mean, you can only prove it so much.
Yeah, and that's why, I feel like I'm on a conspiracy island.
Dude,
because
we're alone, you and I.
Throw in a few others that kind of
Yeah.
get it, but the majority of people can't connect the dots, which is why I don't even call myself a conspiracy theorist anymore. It's been so watered down. It's absolutely crazy. And really all the conspiracy movement is, in my opinion, is following a bunch of controlled opposition who just react to the news. They don't tell you anything that's really going on. They don't look at it from a bird's eye view and connect the dots for you. They just hit you over the head with a hammer and say, this, Israel, 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 and refuse to expand past that and understand that it's a global web and think of it as like a machine, right? Each component plays a specific role within the machine. That's how the whole thing operates. You take one of
Yeah.
them out, then it ceases to exist.
Yeah, like if you look at a neutron and electron, they're two different things, but they both go together to create this like system, right? So I'm totally with you. As weird
Yeah.
as that is, I mean, it all makes up an atom, and that's what these people are doing. It's the opposing forces coming together to create one system, and that's exactly the whole mystery school basis of the philosophy. I do want to
Yeah.
say, what do we call ourselves then? Professional
Well,
pattern recognizer, truth teller. I don't know, like, because I don't
Well,
know, man.
at this point, I just consider myself a child of the Most High God and a
Yes.
follower of Jesus. All these other labels that I once, subscribed to, it's like they've been so infiltrated, they've been so corrupted. And ultimately, once we are reborn, I believe our identity should be in God. Our identity should be in Christ. And that's why Christ is the greatest unifier. I truly believe it. And to see all this, cultural wars, racial wars within the body of Christ, to me, that's the devil working.
Yeah.
Right. I think it says
Yeah.
there's neither Jew nor Gentile, Scythian, no barbarian. We are all one in Christ Jesus. So, I mean, that's what I identify as. Beyond that, I'll save that for the PSYOPs, all the
I'm
people
with
who
you,
are falling
dude.
for these PSYOPs.
I'm with you, dude. And that's how you know that none of these people are living in any kind of spiritual truth if they're sitting here espousing a dichotomy, that you're talking about, one side
Yeah.
versus another. Yeah, very much. I've been thinking, I don't want to get too off topic, but I want to see what you think about this.
Oh, let's go.
I've got this idea, like I've been kicking around. So the news cycle is just so crazy. I mean, we've been talking about this for 10 years now, how the news cycle is getting crazier and crazier, or at least 5 years. Imagine in 2000 if we had this news cycle. Every day we have 3 different major, like what would have been like, major news for 2 weeks before, right?
Yeah.
And I've kind of thought about this, and it's like, if you look back and then kind of extrapolate to now, it's like this plateaued growth where like they would ramp it up and people would be like, man, shit's been really going on a lot lately. And then it would kind of plateau, but it would stay that amount. So it would be like, that amount's now going on all the time. And then it would ramp up and be like, whoa, what's been going on lately? And then they would stay right there. Now it's ramped up and done that so many times that every day we've got like 10 PSYOPs going on, dude. It's insane. Now imagine that's the incremental growth. Now, if they would have thrown today's news cycle on people in 2000, they would have been like, we've been had, dude. Somebody's over here controlling our media or government. What's going on? But because of this plateaued growth concept, I think that they've done it in a way where it's been so incremental that only sensitives notice, like me or you or some others that are in this group.
Oh, no.
So I don't know what you think about that.
Oh, no. They're just eating the slop. And also, the PSYOP changes depending on what person you are. And that's how algorithms work, right? So someone who's looking for the Zionists that are controlling everything, that's all you're going to get pumped with. If you're looking for, Candace Owens is a Putin asset, that's all you're going to get. And also the algorithm magnifies whatever PSYOPs they want the world to talk about. I can't tell you. I just started a new X account because mine got hacked, and I'm going to pull up the info for it. But I mean, I put it on there. I have about 8 followers, right? And I know 8 people that I follow so far, because I forget everybody's, social media accounts. So if, you have a social media account on X, write it in the comments or follow me. But my entire feed, right, is none of the 8 guys that I follow, you being one of them. It was literally Candace. And it was one side calling her a Putin shill or Putin puppet. It's the other side defending the fact that she is an American going over to Russia for their economic forum, where she's literally on the stage with Peter Dugin. And I mean, that's the PSYOP that pushes. Yeah. And also I think it's a way to, with all these PSYOPs going, it divides us too, right? Because everybody has their own pet project that they care about.
Yes.
Everybody has certain, so if you're focused on this, I'm focused on that, this person's focused on this, we're never going to come together and realize, no, all these assholes work together, right? So I think it's a way to divide us. But yeah, if you're sensitive to it and you understand what's going on, and if you're listening to this podcast, you probably do, because you've heard us talk about this all the time. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot, because both sides, give good arguments at a certain point, but then you realize it's going somewhere that's I wouldn't say both sides. One side is really winning. And that's why I'm attacking that side right now. Because it's the winning side. And the winning side always gets co-opted. And if it wasn't co-opted in the beginning, it is now. And there is a color revolution going on in America right now via X, via social media, via the influencer base for anybody who will listen. For the old people who don't follow that color revolution, they're being led into the pro-Zionist camp. And they're the biggest retards out there that they'll go with anything. So if the Zionists, to the point where if the Zionists later on decide, hey, we're going to join Russia in this whole thing with the traditionalists, these idiots would be like, sure, they're going to think. So that's my point. Like they have their camp of like idiots. They're just full sheep. And the people who actually think a little bit, the younger crowd that are questioning and wanting a change, those people are it's color revolution for them.
Yeah. And
so I'm like, all right, back up. Let's see, because I was almost full in Orthodox Christian. Let's do it. Fucking, I'm all about this JQ shit. I get it. But wait a minute, back up. Some of this is true, but also where are you heading? Where are you going with this? It's not that I disagree with the JQ movement and all their points, because to be honest, most of the shits, you can't even debate it, dude. I mean, there has been a majorly Jewish supremacist kind of agenda via the Rothschilds and 13 bloodlines working through this Zionist kind of whatever. So yeah, that's real. But then the rest of it, where they lead you with that, that's what nobody's questioning. And it's funny because they've even brought it up. They're like, listen, we may disagree on certain things later, but like we agree on one thing. The Jews are the problem and we need to get rid of them. Like, so it's like, okay, so you got one united front against one united enemy, but you don't actually have the solution for the issues you'll have later. So I pointed out to somebody, for instance, I said, Myron Gaines is working very hard for your group right now. You guys know who Myron Gaines is, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this guy's a Sudanese.
He's a Fed. He's a literal Fed. He used to be a Fed.
For the DHI from Sudan, right? And Sudan is like another story here with the whole Israel Zionist thing, right? Because we know that they're entrenched in Africa and whatever. So this guy comes here, super anti-Zionist, super into the JQ movement. His pet project is like how women from Western society have ruined women and how, you know, men need to kind of like Andrew Tate. Men need to focus on their careers. That's his kind of pet project. But he's heavy in the JQ movement. And my point is, I talked to some of these guys and I was like, so what are you going to do with Myron Gaines? Because it's a white supremacist thing. They're saying America is a white nation and we need to get back to that. And I was like, well, define white, first of all. German, English, French, like, you know what I mean? Like you can't really specify what white is in America at this point. But point is, I said, okay, you guys are going to turn on yourselves. What about Myron Gaines? He's not white and he's worked very hard for your movement. What happens to him? They admitted that they would kick him out and send him back to Sudan. Like, you're admitting that you would turn on your own people as soon as you take power. So there we go. You're proving my point that, like, for instance, me and you, we're both half Jewish. We're both very against all the things they're against, but me and you would be considered an enemy and probably either killed or moved out of here because of us being an abomination, as they would call us.
Yeah. Well,
isn't that interesting?
It is.
This is why I'm against this movement, because I'm telling you, and I'm worried because I think they're going to win. And I worry about it because people are going to get slaughtered whenever they win, dude. And it's going to be people on their side everywhere. It's going to be just like when the Soviets took over and the Bolsheviks.
Yeah. And I'll tell you one thing, you know, and you're right. Like within all PSYOPs, they give you a lot of good truths, but it's where they leading you with these truths. And when you know the outcome, right? When you know the outcome is that they're trying to manufacture this biblical prophecy, right? And that's when all the nations, all the people turn on Israel. You could see exactly what they're doing. They're playing their role. And this actually, I'm going to bring this up because I think the way this is going, it's going to lead us to two options, right? Like, which way are we going to go with this? Because the amount of corruption, the amount of infiltration of our government by things like AIPAC and Israel. I mean, you got Netanyahu out there bragging that he wrote that part of the bill that united
Section 224,
bragging
the
about
merging of the Israeli military with ours.
So you got to ask yourself, why is he bragging about it? Why are they no longer doing it in the shadows? You know, for Mossad, their official slogan is through deception, we wage war. Well, why aren't they going through deception anymore? They're being obvious, and there's two options, right? And this is what's going to come down to. And right here, I mean, I think James says it right here. One of the option, he goes, so I guess we can stop pretending to be a sovereign nation at this point. Stop paying taxes, boycott everything, burn it down.
Burn it down.
Right.
There
Which by the way, I promise you, he's not going to do any of those things. It's a lot easier to type that stuff from your keyboard than to actually do it yourself. It's like all the politicians that call for war with Iran, but they're not going over there. You know, so to me, we're left with two options. Are we going to go the way of the world, or are we going to follow our Messiah, Jesus, right? Are we going to focus on the Great Commission? Because the one thing, this battle that's going on that we see with our 3D's eyes, that's just the manifestation of a bigger battle that's going on. And that's what none of these guys are promoting. And that's why I think if we're going to talk about PSYOPs, we got to talk about the truth, though. And I think the truth is salvation. And the great battle that's going on is the spiritual one over our salvation. So I'm telling you, America, the more blatant Israel is being about their influence within our policy, the more it comes up to the public consciousness. America is going to go two ways. And unfortunately, I think they're going to go the way of the world because they're not centered in God. They're not centered in Jesus or the Holy Spirit, or even understand what's really going on.
No, absolutely. That's exactly right. And to that point, like Israel could be destroyed just to give people false confidence. And then Israel has now implanted themselves in Argentina, Greenland, via America, Venezuela, all over the world. And so even if Israel got destroyed, it doesn't mean that Unit 8200 hasn't implanted itself into all the technocratic police state systems that are going to be running the whole world. It doesn't mean that the same principalities won't be running the system that takes over when people get this false confidence that the enemy's gone, we're okay now. And I think that is the ultimate plan.
And I'll tell you what,
destroy it. So people think it's okay now.
Yeah. And well, I think they're going to destroy everything because we know the end game, right? And that's one world government, technocracy, mystery Babylon. So they're going to destroy the Abrahamic faith along with them. And I'll tell you one thing. Who is that one guy that you had on your podcast who was really big into the Epstein work? He used to date Whitney Webb or whatever. You know who I'm talking about.
I had somebody on that dated Whitney Webb.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Who's the guy that was talking about how powerful Iran is and that Israel's going to fall any day now?
Are you talking about Ryan Dawson?
Yeah.
Was he dated Whitney Webb?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They beefed.
Up.
Yeah. He claims that she stole a lot of his work.
Well, I know that, but I didn't know they dated.
I think they dated. Yeah. But
get out of here.
Hey, look what's going on. Israel's not destroyed. This idea that they're losing all this stuff is BS. It's a smokescreen. Because meanwhile, they're going into Lebanon, Greater Israel Project. Netanyahu says they're prepared to go launch a war with Egypt and Turkey.
Right after Jonathan Pollard, the guy who stole our nuclear secrets, said, we're preparing for a war with Egypt and Turkey. So you see that like Jonathan Pollard tells no lies. I said that the other day. I was like,
I saw that.
Lies, dude. Because it's like, look at it. He's telling, they don't mind telling you. And that takes me back to the rabbis that have been telling the truth about Trump. He's the servant to the high priest. He's here to usher in the Messiah. And the way he does it is via war and destruction to, lay out waste so that he can come in and rebuild and take over, whatever. So,
and that's my main beef also with guys like Joe Kent, who actually worked for the administration. And he's like, he was good. Trump was good, but something happened. Something, they got something over him and they started influencing what he was doing. He's like, wait a minute. Before he ran for president, guess what? His daughter married into the Kushners, who own the 666 building, who are practicing Kabbalists. Stop telling me that Trump was ever on America's side. Stop telling me Trump was ever on the side of the people. It was always a smokescreen. It was always controlled opposition to usher in the golden age. And now part of that ushering in the golden age is the collapse of Zionism around the world. And that's exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing these influencers that all got brought together to bring Trump over the finish line. You got guys like Ian Carroll, who were the Maha, the crunchy people. They all cared about health. He brought them into the fold when it came to voting for MAGA. And now that they got Trump, or I shouldn't even say Trump, because Trump is just a puppet at this point. Now that the agenda got voted in, and I tell all these people voted for the Zionist agenda, all of them, and the writing was on the wall. The writing was on the wall People brought it up to him, but they did not acknowledge it, and they continue forward. And now you see them pivot to now calling out about the Israel occupation of what it looks like publicly of the Israel occupation of America.
Yes. All right, dude, in the very beginning of his presidency, one of the first episodes I did on my show, I was like, instantly, I was like, I think Trump's doing this on purpose. I think he's trying to get people to notice. The great noticing has happened. 2 years later, look at it now, dude. He's definitely been trying. Like, this is a Zionist agenda to get people to notice the Zionist agenda.
Yeah.
You know? And so not many people know that Netanyahu and Trump grew up together.
Yeah.
They're best friends.
Their
So, like,
parents were friends, right?
Yeah. What do you mean this wasn't a plan since way before? He literally his dad was best friends with Netanyahu's dad. He grew up with Netanyahu. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? These guys are practically brothers, man. So I don't know, the phone call where he says, what the fuck are you doing? You're going to, people hate you now. Come on, man. This is all psyops, dude.
So I was actually about to bring that up. Good thing you brought it up. So you notice right before that, Trump put out a tweet on True Social saying that I'm talking to Iran. We're not going to hit them. They're not going to hit us. And then I also talked to Benjamin Netanyahu. He said he's not going to go and attack Lebanon anymore. We're all good. And then within hours, Netanyahu hits Lebanon.
With white phosphorus. White phosphorus. That is an international crime, and they've done it more than once. Sorry, but it makes me so angry that they're doing that type of shit,
disgusting. There's a special place in hell for these people.
Here, dude. It's going to come here. It is going to come here. Whenever you mix the NDAA by Obama, where it's indefinite detention if you are suspected of being a domestic terrorist or associated with domestic terrorists, and then you mix in the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism, which could make you a domestic terrorist, and then you mix in this new one, the Israeli military with our military, which throws out the whole notion that our military would never grab us up because it's our people.
Well,
put all that together, dude, and you've got yourself a fucking soup of hell that is coming here.
Yeah, and what they're doing is they're setting it up so it looks like that Netanyahu is just screwing everything up, right? Trump is trying, he's trying to create this peace deal, but Netanyahu doesn't care. Then you have guys like Ben Gavar come out, say, oh yeah, we'll handle Trump. We'll get him in line. We'll get him in line.
We don't listen to him. Yeah, he listens to us.
Right. So once again, if Mossad's unofficial motto is through deception, we wage war, why aren't they being deceptive anymore? And I would argue the deception part is that they're being so obvious about it. Right? They're exposing themselves like they never had before. And to watch people fall for this crap and not actually get it.
Or not give a fuck. Or not give a fuck at all. How about that? That probably makes me more mad than the people that fall for it. Is when I sit there and say exactly what I just said to you. There's an NDAA that says that people can be indefinitely grabbed up and detention with no due process, which completely throws out our whole constitutional rights. Then you mix in this new NDAA, which mixes our military with their military, and 37 states in our country that have taken the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism, which is if you criticize Israel. So if you mix all this together, and then I tell somebody about this, and he goes, oh, yeah. I want to smack him upside the head whenever I see that shit, dude. I'm like, bro, are you fucking kidding me? What's it going to take? White phosphorus falling on your fucking house and your kids and your babies and everybody else for you to realize that you fucked up? That's what it's going to take for a lot of these people. And that's why I get so in my feelings about it a little bit, like passionate, because it's like, what the fuck is it going to take for a lot of these guys? Like, you can handle people that are being confused and led astray through good rhetoric like we're doing now, through laying out like, look, this is the problem with that anti-Zionist camp. But people that don't care, what is the remedy for that?
Yeah.
That's my issue.
Well, I truly believe this. And this is why I just say focus on Christ and always provide salvation as the solution, is because there's nothing we can do about it. And that's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people. They want to think they're the masters of their own destiny. If we all get together, we can, overthrow this. And once again, when it comes to political Zionism, what people don't understand, and maybe if you watch this show, you do, or watch Andrew's show, you do, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Right. So if you support the movement, well, guess what? They can continue their agenda without any opposition. You start to wake up to the fact that there's this, infiltration of Israeli politics within our politics, this control, and you start speaking up about it. Great. That's exactly what they want. I mean, I always point back to this quote. I always point back to this quote, and it's hilarious if it wasn't so tragic because of the consequences that are happening. But what's it called? Theodor Herzl, the godfather of modern Zionism, within his journal, he is quoted in saying, and listen, we talk about Israel all the time. You're not an anti-Semite for bringing this up, but he says this. He goes, the anti-Semite will be our best friend, and the anti-Semitic nations will be our greatest ally, because they understand they need the Jews to move back to Israel, right? They need them to feel so uncomfortable. And we're talking about the average Jews. We're not talking about the Rothschilds. We're not talking about the leaders of these, banking cartel. We're not talking about that, the heads of the studios, all that kind of stuff. Just the average Jews to feel unsafe to move back to Israel. So when I see guys like Jake Shields or Dan Bazarian, right? I don't trust them, but they're fighting the fight. But in reality, they're just playing into the hands of the Zionists. And I know Jake Shields, I give a little bit more leeway to, because he's so dumb that it might just him being an idiot and an ideologue. But with a guy like Dan Bazarian, when you start looking up to his past, with his dad, run-ins, dual passports, all that type of stuff, they're leading people into playing into the hands of the anti-Zionist movement, or the Zionist movement ultimately, which is why I still say the only answer is Jesus, or God the Father,
It is. And it's funny, the guy I'm talking about, he's a pastor, so that's probably he's like, I'm good. I'm not worried about it. You know what I mean? Like, he's like probably like you are with I rest assured in my faith in God, and I'm not going to worry about things I can't control. So, I mean, to your point, you're right. I guess I just care. I care a little too much about this.
Yeah. Oh, I trust me.
I mean, it's,
Yeah. And, and just take a look at the world. I mean, forget about the Bible never saying that humanity comes together to overthrow this system of control with Tucker Carlson leading the charge on a white horse. Bible never suggests that. And just take a look at what's going on. We are so divided. We are so at each other's throats because of this good versus bad paradigm when it comes to domestic politics, even within political parties, this good versus bad paradigm, which you see playing out in the conservative movement and geopolitics, that the world is never going to come together to overthrow this system that controls us. So I'm just like, well, what can I do? Well, I can make a difference by promoting the gospel. Like in the spiritual battle, that is our weapon.
Absolutely. Let me show you this, because you were just talking about this here. It's ready for you. So Candace Owens posted this. Said, you might be noticing that a lot of Zionists are obsessively smearing Russia. Thankfully, Clock Tower X, Israeli military foreign affairs company explicitly notes in their FARA documents that a part of I thought they weren't registered with FARA. Okay, whatever. Maybe it's somebody else registered with FARA. That a part of their propaganda program targeting Americans will teach that anti-Semitism comes from Russia, and that me and Tucker Carlson, the two, traditionalist people, are therefore sourcing our talking points from Russia, which they kind of are. Israel is behind trying to train Americans to be Russophobic. So this is a pure discreditation of any argument against the Russian, Christian movement.
Yeah.
So, and thank God Israel was smart enough to let us know all the things we need to worry about.
Yeah.
Oh, it's recent. Figures such as Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson have repeated or amplified narratives. So this is recent, bro. That's how you know this shit is some bullshit.
Yeah. And it's different levels. Like, not everybody can be like,
old narratives
as hardcore as someone like Nick Fuentes or Jake Shields. And there's different levels of people, different generations of people, and they have an influencer that appeals to each one of them. So does Tucker Carlson go as hard in the paint as, say, a Jake Shields or a Dan Bazarian? No, not at all. But his followers, the people who listen to him, are not like the followers of Dan Bazarian. So it's just a different level of this manufacturing, in my opinion, of prophecy. And once again, just take a look at what's going on of him on a tour of the Middle East, uniting the Western Orthodox world and the Muslims. Now, I do find this also interesting, right? Tucker Carlson bought a house in Qatar, and the $7,000 club, like idiots, go Qatar Carlson or something like that. as if, he's being funded by Qatar. But I take a step back and go, okay, so if you believe that Israel completely controls the American government, right? Well, guess what? The American government has a base in Qatar that controls Qatar.
Exactly.
Guess who?
That's who funded Hamas.
Right? Guess who Israel passed the funding of Hamas onto? Qatar.
Exactly.
So don't tell me that all these countries don't work together, but people just, I don't know what it is. Like you, I feel like sometimes if it wasn't for the people watching this show, I would just be screaming into a void.
Yeah.
And no one seems to be paying attention.
Yeah. Well, I definitely am still. I mean, I've got wonderful group of listeners, but I'm talking about on X especially, dude. I'm screaming into a void on X. And
I know. Yeah.
Like, I'm like, what do I got to do? Like, I'm about to get in these spaces with these JQ guys so I can just fucking try to obliterate the argument. Maybe it'll help.
Oh,
because it's
No, on X, at least when I had more followers, and I'll pull up my account in a second so you can follow me again. But when I had more followers, I would put all these posts out and I would take this time commenting, and then I'd see like one person liked it, or he got like 20 views. I'm like, am I just wasting all this time?
Yes,
I had to think of this. I had to come up with a reply or a quote that I wanted to put out. And then who sees it? Like how much time are we wasting? I often think, how much time are we wasting just screaming into the void? But sometimes you just got to do it, right? And that's why I think I continue to do it in hopes that one person sees it, right? I'm often think about the parable of the 99 sheep, right? And that's when Jesus talks about, say you have the shepherd, he's got 99 sheep, one leaves, he goes off and he finds it, he comes back and he has it over his head and he's cheering and all this stuff. And then Jesus says, I tell you this because the heavens feel the same way over one soul that needs to repent over the 99 righteous. So the goal with all this truth is that even one person will see this. And then that might have a butterfly effect. That person can affect another person, can affect another person. So we can still, have a reach out there. It just might not, we might not see it immediately.
Yeah. Well, yep. That's why we're grinding, dude. Just keep going, man. Yeah, it's not a fully a losing battle because the truth is there, right? I mean, you've got the information and it's there and it's verifiable. So it's like, you just got to get the right people to go look at it. One person I mentioned earlier, Gwenin, we didn't quite cover yet, but this is an important name that gets mentioned by Steve Bannon. We could talk about Steve Bannon a little bit too, because the Cambridge Analytica scandal.
Let's do it.
All the data collection of Cambridge Analytica with Facebook, that was connected to Steve Bannon for collecting the data needed to make this propaganda campaign successful. So we'll get into that because that I think is a very important key factor to American propaganda leading into Trump winning, this anti-Zionist movement. The whole thing has been kind of on the back of how well the Cambridge Analytica data scandal happened. So first of all, Gwenin gets mentioned a lot. He's from Paris. He's very convinced that Western occult groups possessed only fragments of authentic spiritual knowledge. This is something Manly P. Hall says a lot. His work became the defense of what he called the primordial tradition. So this gets mixed in with all these other, Evola's ideology, Agrippa, Steve Bannon and Dugin and all them kind of mix them all together into one ideology. So the belief that all authentic religions originate from a single divine source was also perpetuated by Gwenin. Major themes of his work as well was criticisms of modernity, materialism, secularism, and a defense of traditional civilizations and sacred hierarchy. He also believed that humanity is living in a dark age known as the Kali Yuga. And this rejection of modernity kind of stems from Gwenin, and then the Kali Yuga stuff, this whole heroism and spiritual self-mastery is kind of Evola and Gwenin both have that belief system. They both just have slight differences on what they think it should look like, and they mix it all together. So you got to go read each of these guys to understand what the traditionalism in its current iteration is pushing for.
Yeah. And, shout out NDS. And we love those boys, right?
Yeah.
And although I did tune into one of their lives that they were doing, they actually brought me and you up, but in a great way, right? They're like, we just disagree with Ben of End of the World News and 6G Agenda over all this black pilling when it comes to like Tucker Carlson and
Massey, especially. They were talking about
Massey,
Massey. I'm
and they're
like, I
like,
get it, dude, because you got to do a little digging to find out why Massey's a problem, but it's more than the D-Malay Society.
Yeah.
It's the PAC that funds him. It's
Yeah.
the Teal and JD Vance group. It's all that.
But my point is it's important because that's how we find out what the agenda is.
I know.
So if we know that these people are connected to intelligence, then yeah, we should listen to what we say, but then we should say, well, why are they saying that? If they're clearly connected to intelligence, why are they saying the things that they're doing? And that's how you find out what the absolute agenda is.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get with that. I think that, they enjoy kind of like the current event, like enjoying and have a good time. They're not like digging. They're not digging like we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but if we presented that information to them, I think they'd be receptive to it.
Yeah. I mean, this was not a shot fired or anything like
absolutely.
that. We love the NDS boys. They put up a bunch of great work. They have a bunch of great guests, and they're warriors of Christ, right? I truly believe that with all my heart. I'm just saying I will hold fast in my steady in my belief system that yes, it does matter pointing these people out.
Yeah.
And like all psyops, right? Owen Benjamin, who just can't help but glaze, Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson now. It's kind of pathetic if you ask me, but I guess, you don't sell any books unless you pick a tribe. I don't know where I was going with that. I just thought.
Well, no, I mean, to your point though, I've kind of I've evaded becoming a full Christian, show, right? We have, the principles and morals and understanding that Jesus is like the truth and that all that.
Yeah.
But if I lean in too heavy on that, then I'm not bridging the gap between the other conspiracy, new age kind of people that are on the fence. They aren't really understanding how their ideology could be a problem because I'm leaning so hard into dogma, which proves them right about Christianity. So there is two camps of the conspiracy camp. And I think that there's a bridge to be had there. And that's kind of what my purpose I feel like is in the conspiracy world is like, I want to go on new age shows so I can kind of perpetuate this idea of Luciferian philosophy and show, this, but then not be too Christian, but then Christian enough to where people understand that like, we know what the truth is here, but we're not driving it at people to drive them away because we understand that Bill Cooper did it great. I mean, he was always like, I'm not going to tell you my ideology, but this is against Christianity.
Yeah.
And so it's very simple that way where you take yourself out of the equation and take the show out of that dogma, you can cover it a lot more objectively. And I think, it doesn't, generate the biggest audience compared to if I was to lean hard on one dogma, whether it be like Dana the Alien and like new age crazy shit, or whether it be like, I guess Nephilim Death Squad, where it be like only Christian stuff. I think that it's a good mix of the two to retain that.
Well, I'll tell you one.
Everybody's got their own thing.
Well, I'll tell you what, even the new age people, they need the gospel. And if we look at them with this disdain in our mouths, in our brains about them and that they're so wrong, we're just going to push them away further. So I get what you're saying as far as, okay, let's talk about that. Let's see how it overlaps with Christianity a little bit and just see maybe where your belief system is going awry, right? And to me, there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
at all.
I don't think there is. I think it's the only way to remain objective. I don't think either side is telling the whole truth about everything. I think the Bible has a lot of truths and everything, and you can find everything you really probably need in it, but it doesn't have all the answers. You know what I'm saying? And so there is some aspects to other things you can kind of bring in, not spiritually, but understanding ideologies to debate and combat them. You have to understand what they're thinking.
Yeah, and I always go back. There's a passage in, I think, 1 Peter. And this, I think, applies to all of us, right? Part of the Great Commission, right, is when people ask us why we have hope, we just tell them that our hope is in Jesus Christ with love and humility. That's what it says, with love and humility. And if you don't have that, guess what? You're just going to turn people away, right? They're going to have an automatic wall that goes up.
Yeah.
And they say, I don't want anything that you have to say, which is, and you see that within this traditional movement, right? It's the hearts have gone cold. And 2 Thessalonians talks about that in the end of this age, I guess you say, leading up to possibly, we don't know what's going to happen. I have my opinions, but whatever, the heart goes cold. And you kind of see that.
Yeah.
And if your goal is to bring people into the fold and you're an asshole, you're actually doing God a disservice. You know, I mean, what are you doing? I do want to bring this up, and I love pointing this out. I just love. I find when people are hypocrites, it's funny to me.
Mm,
Here's
every
a
time.
here's a post by Candace Owens talking about Larry Loomer. You and your fake husband Andrew Simpson, who is actually just your handler, looks unhappy on the Alaskan cruise last week. It's because he only travels with you alongside an entourage of 6 young dudes that accompany him. Are you paying for trips for him and his friends so he can pretend that you are in a relationship? Also, why did you lie and claim to people the two were married when you were not? Blah, 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 blah. And I just thought to myself, the audacity of a lady who is also fake married to an also allegedly gay person who literally is the son of Lord Farmer of the Permanent House of Lord, who actually runs some of these Zionist organizations in England. You're like, the audacity for her to call out Larry Loomer. In fact, her and Larry have a lot in common. They're both in fake and gay marriages.
Yeah, and they're both running game for one side of the narrative drivers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
The narrative slave drivers, you could call them, dude, because that's what they are, man. I mean, they're just slave drivers of narratives to get people to just be slaves to ideologies and beliefs that aren't true, and that's what both of them are. They're both evil to me, in their own right. One thing I did want to mention while we were just before we get off the topic of the Nephilim Death Squad, he was on that phone booth podcast, and it's so funny. I actually listened to that whole thing. I barely listened to their stuff recently. I'm just so busy, and I'm more informational based with my listening. But I checked it out, and I'm glad I did. God brought me to it, I guess, because when you listen to it, dude, it really lay out their. First of all, the whole thing was like a 3-hour debate on how Christianity is because he's just going back and forth, questioning him on shit. And but at one point they started talking about doing this, their show, and they said, that at the end of every show, not on it, but they'll ask, are you having fun? And that they asked me that. I'm sure they asked you that. And I didn't really quite understand behind it what they were doing there, but it's so interesting, man, because it's really helped me a lot and changed my perspective.
Shout out NDS.
Yeah, so I really appreciate that because they were like, we asked them that because we want them to be. I mean, obviously, you want to be having fun doing this and stuff, and I get so informational based on my show. I'm like, dude, I got to get back to that because especially with me doing solo shows now, pretty often, I'm just talking. You know what I mean? Talking about shit. So
yeah.
I'm like, dude, I got to have more fun with this. You know what I mean? So I've been, doing that kind of recently. I'm like, dude, I appreciate that. So they've got gems as far as insight on just life. You know what I mean? I mean, they really do, dude.
Like I said, gems. The only disagreement we have is the whole influencer industrial complex to a certain extent. Beyond that, like I said, the boys are warriors of Christ.
Absolutely. And
they are awesome. You want to watch a video that Tim uploaded?
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Yeah. Shout out Tim. He was trying to find your ex the other day. I couldn't find you.
I
don't think I thought you need to DM me because I don't think I
okay, everybody. I got hacked. Here I am. The handle is End of the World New. So give me a follow on that. I fell for a scam. Yeah, I'm such an idiot. It was all 100% me. I was working and I was stressed out and this came up and I fell for a scam and they hacked my entire account. So if you do follow my old account and you receive a DM from my old account, do not follow it. I'll follow my new one. But let's watch this one by Rotting Jules. Rotting Jules, let me tell you something. She does a lot of great work.
She does, dude. Tim put me on to her. Her name's Dana.
Yeah.
She's got great stuff.
Yeah, and I guess there's some music video or something. So let's pull this up real quick. I don't got an hour to watch. What happened to the video?
Wait, what is the video about? What is it? Since you follow me back, Ben, here's info.
Is Tim still on here?
Oh, this gets it. No, this is about the Sandy Hook shit.
Oh, Sandy. I thought it was about a music video. Oh yeah, the Sandy Hook
or the Pandy Cook or something, whatever you want to say,
Well, they call her she Rotting Jules used to call her Candy Owens. And then after finding out that her father did all the contracts for, whatever. I don't want to say that because we might get dinged. I changed Candace's name to Sandy Owens because of all that stuff.
Wow. Dude, okay, 5 hours ago, Vladimir Putin says Benjamin Netanyahu did not direct Trump to go to war with Iran. What the fuck kind of angle is that?
Well, that's what I'm saying, dude. Like,
what is that? That's him running game for Israel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do we have to go back to that
Wow.
video of the Shabbat rabbi that says that Putin runs everything through him when it comes to the Middle East? And that, I think, goes back to Deuteronomy 32, right? There's literally powers that rule over each one of these regions. And I wonder that although they fight over kind of control, economic control, who has a bigger piece of the pie, I think ultimately when they actually go into these regions, they need to work with them because they understand the power and the principality that rules over each one of them is different. And sometimes they fight, but ultimately it's all the same agenda. I like to point out to the Iran, Israel, America war. If you look at their intelligence logos, it's all a bunch of fallen star bullshit. And the Bible calls stars, fallen stars are fallen angels. And within the Iranian, what's called the intelligence agency, it's an 8-sided star with each star with an all-seeing eye of horse in the middle. On the Israeli flag, it's the 6-sided star of Remphan. On the CIA logo, you have the 16-pointed Virginia sun. The 16 points represent the 4 elements of the universe and the 12 Olympian gods, which would once again be fallen angels. And these are all the various principalities that rule over each one. So that is interesting that Putin just came out with that.
No, yeah, it's very weird. But no, yeah, that's exactly what it is. And by the way, because you were just talking about that.
Oh, Tim says play the first link.
Okay.
Where is that, Tim? Okay, I'm pulling up this. Is this it, Tim? Am I up? Okay, let me pull this up. Maybe you can guide us on this, Tim. So this is what I have right here. I got this. Tim started following me.
He said, Jesus, read the chat. Oh, that's funny.
Where is it, Tim?
Okay,
Tim.
he said the second is my source, Dana, hour-long episode. The first one, go back to your notifications and see if you got one down farther.
I only got one. I got one where you're following me.
Yeah, I see that.
And one where you're
send it again. Send it again, Tim. And while you do, I'll show
or put it on 60 agendas, right? And then because I'm a retard when it comes to
I'm on X right now, so that works.
Yeah. So what do you want to pull up?
This. You were just talking about the Saturn here. I'll show this. Or kind of were. I don't know if you quite were talking about Saturn, but you brought up something that made me think about this post. Saturn's hexagon talks about this being a massive interdimensional portal and frequency control device. The black cube of Saturn has long been worshipped by secret societies because it represents the material matrix and time prison. If this is true, this goes right into the belief that I have where ChatGPT, to your point with like AI and the principalities and all this different stuff being connected, I think you were talking about that a little bit.
Yeah.
The ChatGPT sign is literally, everybody likes to point out, it's the Star of David. No, more importantly, it's this shape enchained, which shows that they're trying to enchain or chain up the powers that this has. The hexagon is actively beaming frequencies towards Earth, breaking free from Saturnian influence is part of true liberation. But even better, why not harness the power of it? And that's what they're doing. So I wanted to point that out while you were talking about that, because that's very much
yes. But sorry, Tim. I am an idiot when it comes to technology. To my point, I think the people they're actually going to kill are the people who oppose technology or can't operate within the new digital world that they're building. And maybe that's what they're going to use anti-tech databases on. So Skynet at some point will take over and just annihilate all of us, me and all the old people. But I'm trying with the technology, guys.
I got something else to show you here. So this is the 2027 NDAA. And everybody's talking about the NDAA section 224, which merges Israel with our military. What about this? Artificial intelligence, quantum machine learning, and autonomous systems, direct energy and advanced sensing, cyber defense, electronic warfare, digital resilience, biotechnology, biomanufacturing, biomedical defense, network integration, data fusion, and contested logistics. This is all the stuff they're going to do together.
Mhm.
Defense industrial base cooperation, manufacturing, and co-production. Look at that. Biotech, biomanufacturing, medical defense, cyber defense, electronic warfare, directed energy weapons, artificial intelligence. All this stuff is going to be merged with Israel.
Mhm.
It already
Yeah.
was, but now it's going to outwardly be, right? Like Unit 8200 doesn't have to do it, stealthily anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, man. That's
Well, you know what I always say? I'll pull up this clip real quick, and now that we're speaking on that, I always say if you want to know why something happens, just pay attention to how people react, because that was its intended consequence. They play us like a video game. Now, this is
I got the video.
is it of Ro Khanna?
What?
Oh, you got the video from what's it called?
Yeah, but go ahead, finish what
Okay,
you're saying.
let me
just letting you know.
Yeah, well, let me what's it called? Play this clip, and then we'll go into the funny video.
I was gonna say that earlier. All the Democrats are coming out, and they're the white hats right now. Have you noticed
right?
that?
Yeah,
All the Democrats are coming out. Fucking Joe Biden's based. Or not Joe
Oh,
Biden. Hunter
yeah.
Biden. Hunter Biden's based now. He's coming out. Fucking get out of here, dude.
Well, I actually picked up some German guys in my mobile ministry, and they were asking me about it, right? I was like, people don't have a backbone. It's literally whatever your party says. So
yes.
when Biden was in charge, all the Republicans were like, release the Epstein files, and the Democrats didn't want it to happen because it was being painted as if it was all a bunch of liberals that were following, were locked in with Epstein. And then once it comes out that no, Republicans are too, Democrats started calling for it, and the Republicans wanted to keep it hidden. So it's all BS.
Now the Democrats are calling out the Zionists, and they're trying to pose themselves as the saviors of things like this. But people easily forget what happened during COVID. People easily forget how they locked people down and shut shit down, and we're very totalitarian. So
yes, and also just for the people here on Instagram, thank you so much. I wish I could kind of get to your guys' comments, but since I am so bad at technology, I don't know how to scroll up and down that. So I'm sorry. Hit my link. Whenever I do a live, I have a link in my bio right now. It goes straight to YouTube. We can address your comments and stuff like that. Pull up. But I'm going to play this, right? So this is what Roy Khan says right here. Roy Kano, whatever his name is. Who does he represent? San Francisco, Silicon Valley. Can't trust this guy, but just watch this.
The American people are tired of the arrogance and insolence of Prime Minister Netanyahu telling America what we should do. The entire country of Israel has a GDP that is less than a single town in my district. Yet somehow Netanyahu thinks he could tell the American people what we should do. The person who's most upset with him right now is President Donald Trump. And everyone in America, whether you're a Republican, an independent, or a Democrat, says that we need to tell Netanyahu that America calls the shots, not the prime minister of any other country. They want less cooperation and blank checks to Israel, not more. Only the United States Congress would dream up at this moment, let's actually do more for Israel, not less. And that's what Section 2024 does. It's a pretty simple thing. Should we do more for Israel than we already do, or should we do less? If you think we should do more for Israel, you should be against my amendment. If you think we should do less for Israel at the time that he's arrogantly telling Donald Trump what to do, then you should be for my amendment. Now, let me just be clear.
So I guess the point is if you know the outcome, which is the nation's turning on Israel, you now understand why Netanyahu was out there bragging about how he put that into the bill. He's actually calling the shots. You see Roy Khan now actually talking about it publicly on this national stage. Mm-hmm. You have the algorithm and all the influencers pushing this. And this is just manufacturing, like I said, more people turning on this idea of Zionism. So to me, that's why he's doing all of this stuff.
Yeah, and you hear guys like, Sean Ryan are promoting him. A lot of people are like, hey, what do you think about Ro Khanna now? So this is a growing name that you might want to watch out for, because the system seems to be propping this guy up. I don't trust him, but whatever. By the way, your X account, I just discovered, it's hard to find, but the reason why is because it's end of the word new.
Oh,
End of the
word?
word.
God.
End of the word.
End of the word new. I got to change that now.
Yes. End of the word new.
WORD
yes,
new. Okay, I got to change that
and
now.
that's why it's like I was like, dude, he follows me. Why can't I find him right now? And so yeah, it wouldn't let me put the link in the chat. But yeah, end of the word is what it is. So
I
that
can't
would
type. You know, that's another thing.
You said you're tech illiterate. It's fine.
I'm tech illiterate, and that's another thing. I put up some good posts, I think, but then when I go back and check, like 2 hours later, 3 hours later, there's like a misspelling or a word's missing. I was like, oh God, I sound like an idiot. And I kind of am an idiot. You know, I can barely read and I mispronounce words, but whatever.
I'm the same way, dude. I can't tell you how many times I'll comment something and then be like, fuck, I gotta delete that. I'll go retype it because I'm like, shit, I forgot this word, or that sounds stupid. I didn't put a word, you know.
That was fire. Shit.
I type how I think, and then I don't like double check sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, do you have that link from Tim, you said?
Yeah, so let me pull it up right now. Yeah, actually it's ready. So whenever you're
pull
ready.
it up right now. All right.
Yeah, and I'll press
He
play
said
here.
this was good, and I said I wanted to see it.
It's only 2 minutes, so yeah, it's perfect. All right, let me know if you could hear it. I hear nothing yet, so hold on. Let's see.
So this is Candace's sister.
Yeah.
Candace's sister who put this up.
You can hear this, right? Can you hear me? Can you hear this?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think, yeah. I was like, can you hear this? And I didn't hear you.
Was a secret chord that David played and it pleased.
Wait, can we play this?
Oh, shit.
What is whoa, dude? You're trying to kill, dude. Tim, what the fuck? You're trying to nuke us, dude.
Wait, real quick, Tim. Are you talking about the conversation we had?
God. Wait, what?
By the way, Tim comes correct. He came with the whole he was telling me how what's it called, Joe Kent trained at Fort Bragg at the PSYOP school. So did Tulsi Gabbard. Did you know that?
Tulsi Gabbard both trained at Fort Bragg at the counter. Yeah, the same place the same place Michael Aquino got a lot of information for his Mind War book. You know.
Or Michael Flynn trained there, who's the QAnon king, right?
Exactly.
So what are the odds that the recent dissidents to the Trump administration all trained at some point at Fort Bragg, which is home of the PSYOP school? What are the odds?
What are the odds that they're running game for PSYOPs later, you know? So is this gonna
let's not play this. Let's not risk it. But
I'm muting it, but is there like words on the screen, or is this guy singing a song? Like, I'm confused.
No, I think the point what Tim was saying is that making the connection to Sandy Hook, that even the sister came out with a music video that was for the victims of Sandy Hook. Right. So you have that tie between that. Norman Pattis, you know Norman Pattis, that's a crazy one. How
remind me about that, because you told me about that a while ago, and I can't remember.
Yeah, so Candace first kind of broke into the scene a little bit when she was in high school, and she was suing the Sanford School Board of Educations because like 4 white guys, I think, called her up on a telephone and was saying like racial slurs to her and things like that. So she's suing. And this is an unknown Candace Owens in high school. She's suing the Sanford School of Education. And you know who her lawyer was? This guy named Norman Pattis, right? And he's written articles about how he was interviewed and offered a job by the CIA. He went in there, he was offered a salary, then he left, but they never made anything of it. But then it turns out this Norman Pattis turns out to be the lawyer for who? Alex Jones during the Sandy Hook trial. He was the lawyer for Nick Fuentes during January 6th. He was the lawyer for the Proud Boys. So here she has this, preferred lawyer of controlled opposition representing her when she was still an unknown commodity to the public. And then she kind of broke in being a Democrat. That didn't really work out for her. And then she comes out with this move that she's now a conservative, and she worked hand in hand with the whole Zionist agenda when she worked at what's PragerU, who's CEO, trained in the 8200 division of the IDF. And then she jumped right. Then she jumped over to the Daily Wire. Once again, a Mossad operation going on there. And then she married, Lord Farmer's gay son after 17 days and 0 dates, which is why I just think it's hilarious that she's calling out Larry Loomer for that. But anyways, that just shows you how tribal, everybody is, because they refuse to see that both of these people are in arranged marriages. And then once she marries into this, family whose entire wealth was built out of the city of London, she doesn't want to tell you that either. They call him the Copper King, the father. She then makes this pivot to Catholicism, and which is once again another form of orthodoxy. And I could see that the orthodoxy that will replace Zionism or the evangelical movement in America, I think is going to be Roman Catholicism, opposed to maybe Eastern Orthodoxy. But the same thing, they're the same thing. That's another thing that
They
people don't
both
realize.
They both venerate angelology, and angelology can be led into this demiurgic force of understanding of this Gnostic kind of philosophy. And so I think the angelology aspect, like, yes, it's got its place, but whenever people could use it and stuff, I just think that, don't put too much veneration into your saints and angels and things like that whenever it could be utilized in this way.
Fair enough, Tim. That once again, that
Tim's
was
the
me
best,
thing.
dude. I love
Tim.
dude.
He's the best.
He don't
Everybody
fuck around, dude.
Dude, I find so much stuff out from people in the chat.
Yeah.
Like
all the time.
it's dope. It's dope. But and one thing people also don't want to take into consideration, all the heretical teachings of both Orthodoxy and Roman Catholicism when it comes from a biblical worldview. It's because they both recognize the first 1,000 years of the Roman Church, right? There was a split, right? So that's when you get this Queen of Heaven worship, which is they took Isis and replaced it with Mary. You have this venerating of the saints.
Yep.
They say you don't worship your gods anymore, but we have these saint-like figures that you can then pray to. We're going to change the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday, the Lord's Day. So they still all agree on the same heretical teachings, and they're still falling into the traps of the institutions. Now, I also want to say this. I love regular Eastern Orthodox people. I love regular Catholics, right? And if you use this as a vehicle to have a relationship with God, have a relationship with Jesus, hey, I'm all for it. My point is that all the people within these institutions are wolves in sheep's clothing, and they're all leading you down the same path as the Zionists are leading you.
Yep.
And in every war, you need your good guy and you need your foe. You need your hero and you need your heel. And guess what? That changes depending on where you live. So it's all one big gangbang. Excuse my French, but that's really what it is.
Yeah, and I need to learn more about the Modi in India, but allegedly, like this whole Modi operation, this guy that runs India, it's very similar to the whole Trump cult. And so I'm curious to see how much of that was ran over there and then they brought it over here, just like the technocratic police state being ran in China that they'll bring over here. They seem to run trial runs in other places before they bring it here to make sure that they can, work out the kinks before they try it on us. It's very interesting.
Well, and that's another thing. Who's this one guy I always rag on? Ethan Levins, who's got a big account on Instagram. And he's like, I saw him going when Trump went over to China, and Putin, Xi didn't meet him when he came off. Not much got handled while he was there, and he was like, Xi is the real leader. I support Xi. This is that. I'm like, bro, do you know why they opened up China? First of all, it was Kissinger and Nixon, but probably Kissinger. And that's where they tested out the beast system. Yeah. They have surveillance. They have social credit score. They have.
You joined him in the trilateral.
Yeah.
Epstein is in that too. Rockefeller.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying is we got to be careful of these influencers that promote this good versus bad paradigm, especially influencers that claim to be Christians and have a biblical worldview, because the biblical worldview, as this is Satan's world, right? For the time being, God is allowing him to squat here. And there's that passage in the Bible when Satan takes Jesus up to that mountain and offers him any kingdom in the world. He just had to bow a knee, right? Well, the point is, he didn't, but the point is he couldn't offer him any kingdom of the world unless they were his to give.
Exactly. Right? I just explained this to my wife earlier, kind of, because I was like, dude, and think about it. Think about what that means. Like if you go back to the beginning where he says, the sons of God were given dominion over the earth. And if the sons of God because this is before he made Adam. People assume that that's man. He made man and sent them out to take dominion over the earth. But I don't see how that could be man if he didn't make Adam yet. So if he didn't make Adam yet, then these aren't men that are going to take dominion over the earth. And they didn't turn on God yet. So they weren't evil either yet, right?
Yeah. Well, you're talking about day 6, right? Are you talking about the day 6 people?
Yes. And then later, well, this would be, day 6. And then
Yeah.
later, the next day, or later that day, whatever, he makes Adam in the garden. Then they turn on him, God, sends him to crawl on the belly, the whole deal, right? But he doesn't take away the dominion they have over the earth. That never gets stripped away. So later when they're describing that I'm not of this world is not, it's ran by the devil, etc. We'll put it together here. The sons of God, the little g gods, the nature worshipers worship them. They are the ones that have dominion over the earth, nature, and that's why they worship them, right? So this is like a full circle story there whenever you look at it that way.
Oh, yeah. So, and there's a lot of people who believe, if you do believe in that theory, which I do, because if you look at the description of the people that he created on day 6, completely the opposite of the description of the creation of Adam and Eve.
Exactly.
And a lot of people think that Adam and Eve was God's answer to the corrupted people of day 6. So initially he created the people of day 6 to go out and, mate with each other and have dominion over the world. And then what's believed is that they became corrupted, right? By these Elohim, probably rebellious Elohim that were living on the earth during that time. And people also don't realize this. It's like when Adam and Eve got thrown out of the garden, and then you have, Cain and Abel, and then, Cain killed Abel, and he was forced to leave and go other places. And he goes, well, God, please put a mark on me, because if they find me, they're going to kill him. Mm-hmm. Well, who's going to kill him?
Well,
I don't think other people on the earth.
Exactly. I don't know about. So you think the Elohim are separate from the sons of God?
No. So I think the correct term for these spiritual beings, I guess angels is another word for them, is Elohim. Right.
But do you think that the sons of God, the day 6 people, are the same thing?
Well, no. So the sons of God, you'd find that in Genesis 6. Right.
And you also find it. Yeah. But he says that when he created the sons of God and sent them out to take dominion over the earth. That was said twice.
Was it?
Yes. That's why I make the correlation.
That's in day 6?
Yes. I've correlated this twice, more than twice. That's why I always make the correlation with the sons of God on day 6 and Genesis 6. The sons of God came down to the daughters of man and mated with them. Well, that's a totally different race that was given dominion over the earth now, right? So it was never. So that would mean that the forces of nature, if they were given the dominion over the earth, dominion, force, nature, and earth, right? So I'm thinking, okay, these are the pagan gods. These are the Elohim.
Yeah.
These are not man. That's what I'm thinking. And then they came down and corrupted the earth through twice, once through Eve, and then the second time, of course, through, in Genesis 6, right? So that's kind of how I read it. And then if you take that and extrapolate, it's like, well, yeah, so he does have dominion over the earth and he can give Jesus all the kingdoms and etc. So it's very crazy.
And there's also a crazy idea that I kind of like. Have you ever heard of the gap theory?
No.
So there's this idea that Genesis is actually a recreation story, right? So between day 1 and day 2, I believe, pretty much what's it's saying is like there was creation on the earth on day 1 and it got destroyed. And that's where this darkness is. And then after that, I think it's day 1. After that is when you have this recreation story happening. So there's this idea that there was a time that the Elohim without humans were living on the earth. And it got so corrupted that once again, God had to restart over. And that's the beginning of Genesis.
That's a Kabbalistic idea right there.
It is?
Well, I'm pretty sure because out of chaos, God came and brought that chaos into form of order. That's what they believe. And that the chaos that was created by the Elohim is what you're saying, was where he took that chaos and created order out of it, out of stuff that was already here. It sounds reminiscent of something I learned that is from the Kabbalist kind of studies, very much close to the theosophical idea of God's creation. Does it mean it's wrong? No. I'm just saying order out of chaos is an ideology that is within that statement you just gave. And that is kind of pushed by them, right?
Yeah.
Don't know if it's wrong or not, but it's very much parallel.
Well, let me tell you something. I love talking about this stuff. And to
Yeah.
me, that's part of the fun. There's very
too.
few hills that I die on, right? When
Same,
it comes to the Bible, it's God the Father, it's our Messiah, and it's the Holy Spirit, right? And our Heavenly Father sent our Messiah to die for our sins. And if we repent and have true faith, not just believing, but true faith, which James talks about, then we're saved. And beyond that, I think a lot of it's open for discussion. I love having these discussions. And it's interesting to look into this stuff.
Me too, man. I mean, I had a Catholic grandmother, and my mom's side's Jewish, and my dad was into like Christianity, but then also like Eastern philosophy of Buddhism. So I've grown up with this occult theocracy,
Yeah.
kind of, and I've grown up and entrenched in all these different spiritualities. There's even a time where I read the Quran, right? So like, it's not like I really am, because of that. It's so funny how it drives you towards, like, I found the most truth in the Bible. The most
Yes.
retaining of the information came from the Bible, because I believe it really is spoken in a way where like it sits in your mind on a level that like only God can put it there, to where like when you read all these other books, they're supposed to be these spiritual, where they resonate with you and they're supposed to like bring enlightenment to you. Then why can't I remember any of it? Why can't I remember the axioms? Why can't I remember what it is? Like it says in the Bible, like truth is simple. Like the way to God, the path to God, it is simple. It's not supposed to be complicated. Complications are usually given by the adversary. And so
Yeah.
I think that, if it doesn't intrinsically sit in me and resonate to where I can recall it in memory, even though I have a horrible memory, then it's
Yeah.
probably not spiritually true.
Well, I also say this is all these occult principles, there are some truth to them. Like, and just take a look at the
Yes.
Hermetic principles. There are some truth to the Hermetic principles, but where it falls short is it gives no credit to a creator God. It says that we are co-creators with this energy and we manipulate it, and that's where it falls short. But as far as talk about like energy manipulation, manifestation, that's all real stuff.
Well, they meet you there with the creator God. They call him the all mind,
But they say we're
it
part of that,
permeates.
right? But don't
Right,
they say that we're
because
part of
the
that?
all mind is the macro of our micro consciousness. So we create just like, so that leads to exactly what you're saying. We are God then, because if
Mhm.
they're saying that God is just one mind of consciousness that can manifest through observance, like quantum physics, where it's the observer theory. So that they're proving what we're saying. It doesn't exist unless you're looking at it, which means your consciousness is creating reality, which means that they're saying that only our minds create reality, which means that we are a micro of the macro mind. In other words, we're all one brain, we're all one consciousness
Hive mind.
with different neurons or nodes coming out, just like for the hive mind. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's not at all real. I'm not saying God doesn't maybe mirror a all consciousness mind. It doesn't mean that I am a co-creator. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. It doesn't mean maybe I'm a co-creator to a certain extent, like the manifesting thing, if it's for like good things, but it's only going to happen if it's in God's will, right? So there's this aspect to it where it's like, I don't know, man, how
Well,
much
think
how
about
much do you
this.
really have control of if that's the case?
Yeah. Well, I mean, once again, they also, I think, a lot of these occult principles are derived from biblical truths, and then they kind of manipulate it. So that idea of, think about God, right? He's this omnipresent force that lives inside each one of us, right? And if we listen to that, if we choose to love Jesus and keep his commands, that's when the Holy Spirit comes upon us. But in a sense, he's that omnipresent force that kind of, I hate to use the word hive mind, but it gets all believers operating in his idea, his thoughts, his creation. So I can see where
It's very
get
easy
that
to
idea
lead you
from.
astray into
Yeah.
that. No, yeah, you're exactly right. I'm in you. That's one of their main scriptures that they like to utilize to kind of drive people towards it, is when Jesus says, like, I'm in you, you're in me. Like, you just have to look inwards, kind of thing.
Mhm.
So that's something that they use a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get into the Cambridge Analytica stuff, but definitely look that up, guys. He was the, Steve Bannon was the vice president of Cambridge Analytica 2 years before the lawsuit happened, which means that during the actual data collecting and everything, he was involved, and then left before the
Mhm.
shit hit the fan. And then after that, went and worked on the Trump administration, got him in office in 2017, 2016. And then the job was pretty much done. Now Trump's like doing his own thing. But yeah, man, the
You know, if I
traditionalist movement's no joke.
Well, and just so you know that they're, once again, Steve Bannon, I think we can both agree, based off all the things we've learned through the Epstein drops, that he's 100% connected to the Zionist agenda, right?
Mm.
And here you have this guy that then went on TPU, and I pointed this out, and once again, people don't want to see this. He went at the TPUSA conference right after Charlie Kirk was dead, and he was speaking about the Greater Israel Project, right? They are bringing it to the public consciousness. So the question is, why is a guy connected to Zionism behind closed doors who said he'll do anything to promote the agenda to Jeffrey Epstein, now exposing the agenda?
So is
And-
Zhang. Professor Zhang is in the same camp as what you just described.
Yeah, even the Israeli politicians are talking about the Greater Israel Project at press conferences.
Yeah.
Like, that's the deception. The deception is they want us to think that we're all, part of this, Carmen Sandiego game, and we're these gumshoes figuring out all this stuff. And you're like, wait a minute, we're only figuring out, for the most part, there's guys that are out there that are connecting the dots, and people who listen to this that are connecting the dots.
Because of them.
But for the most point, ultimately because of them.
Yeah.
Think about going back to
Tucker-
QAnon.
Yeah, Tucker's pointed this out. He's like, if they want to like do these things, like they're taking a weird tactic, and it's like, exactly, Tucker. Like, you know what's going on, but he's playing this game where he's like, why would they do it like this? Like, they're just kind of telling people, you know what I mean, and shit like that. Where he's kind of even pointing out how sloppy they're being,
Yeah.
which I think is just another layer of deception. That's how good that guy is.
Yeah.
He's like, he's calling out the thing they're fucking with you about, knowing that you won't put it together. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
did, but like most people are gonna hear that and go, yeah, it is weird. Why are they so dumb? They're just gonna
Yeah.
think that they're fucking dumb. But it's
Yeah.
like, no, you're the dumb one because you're not
Yeah.
seeing that it's a psyop. Like,
Yeah.
so anyway, yeah, it's crazy, man. There's so many layers to the onion.
Yeah. Well, we're heading up on 2 hours. So let's close it at 2 hours. Is there anything you want to leave with the people?
Oh no, man. I got a lot coming down the pike this weekend, that's for sure. I've got
Let's pull up your, what's it called, real quick. I'm going to pull up your YouTube so people can see that real quick.
yeah,
So
your
they know where
boys,
to,
your boys been hard at work, man.
dude,
I've got,
let me tell you something. I dig that you're doing stuff with William Ramsey.
yeah, he's my
Dude,
dog, dude.
let me
We've
tell you
had
something.
10 episodes together.
Yeah, dude, I like, William Ramsey is, or am I saying his name correctly?
Yes.
Dude, he's one of the good guys, dude.
Oh yeah, I love William.
I think he's awesome.
He's
All
awesome.
right.
What I love is that over time, like William, like, he's very, I mean, he's got his own personality. But what I've noticed is as times went on, like I've gotten him out of his little bubble a little bit. Like I got him laughing and kind of like, I'm like, let's go, William. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, dude. I'm trying to bring you out, because, it could be, humming glum going into all this stuff all the time, especially in the world he's in with the, it's satanic cults, 09A,
Yeah.
Epstein 24/7. So it's like, I try to bring him out of it, lighten it up. Like, yeah, we're talking about the Zodiac Killer and Aquino, but let's fucking lighten it up a little, So I enjoy time with him, and I think he's awesome. He's
Well-
one of the first people I reached out to, and that, on a larger platform, and instantly emailed me back, and we got a show set up. So yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
love him. He's awesome.
Well, I do think you brought up something interesting is when you stare into the void for so long, or the darkness, it can kind of lead you astray.
Yeah.
Or not astray, but it can kind of, I guess the negative connotations when they would label me black-pilled, that can actually happen, which is why I think it's important to be operating in the spirit during all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
God protects us through all that because we show the fruits of the spirit: love, joy, happiness. And when I drive around in my mobile ministry, they're like, you tell me the world's ending, but you got a smile on your face.
Yeah.
Something's not adding up. I'm like, I don't know, man. I have complete hope in God and Jesus. It's just a byproduct of having a relationship with God, right? So
Absolutely.
during all this stuff, as you're diving into this stuff, as long as we put, Jesus front and present, as long as we put God on our hearts and we're operating the spirit, there's nothing that we should be afraid of. We should not put ourselves in a fear prison. And I think a lot of times they tell us this stuff, so we put ourselves in this own fear prison of ours, because when we're operating out of a state of fear, we're easily manipulated. They can lead us down certain ways because we want to protect whatever we have on this earth. And just remember, store our riches in heaven, right? And just speak the truth whenever we can.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think the harvesting of energy is real too. So, I mean, I think that's got a big part to do with that as well. Keeping the overall frequency, like that frequency shit's real. I think all that
Yeah.
fits into that for sure. Yeah, I appreciate it. Oh, somebody said, the abyss stares back at you. And what came to mind is that I can tell whenever I get a little bit astray from God or like my standing and holding with Jesus, because dude, I'll have fucking intrusive thoughts. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
the only way is you try to get rid of intrusive thoughts without calling upon, some kind of higher power, dude, because that shit it'll grab you. And and I've been working nights, so like it's like clockwork sometimes, like certain time of night, like 3 a.m. we roll around and you get some fucking intrusive thoughts, and it's like I don't get it all the time, but like I did for a minute, and I've noticed that the more I've kind of leaned into trying to pray a little bit more on the regular and things like that, it definitely helps. And so I agree with you. I think that's very, very real, for sure.
And also understand that a lot of these intrusive thoughts that we might have, they might not be our own.
I
There's
don't
a
think
reason.
that's what I mean. I think they're coming in
Yeah,
from
from demonic beings. There's a reason why, I think it was, was it Paul or Jesus? Whatever. In the Bible, it says we should hold every thought captive, right? Because we don't know where it's coming from.
Yep.
You just look at Judas when he betrayed Jesus. First, Satan put an idea on his heart, which I think is interesting how they said heart and not brain, and how the body works. But until he fully possessed him, the point being is these demonic, beings, spiritual beings, possibly the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim, they can put ideas into our brain. And it's important that we don't hold on to them too hard or follow them and say, does this align up with what God would say to me? Because I think the Holy Spirit is also talking to us constantly. In fact, I almost think that whenever we have a good idea, that's directly from the Holy Spirit. And when we're arguing with that, we're arguing with God. And maybe that's when the demons come and put ideas into our brains to then go against what we know we should do or what is the right thing. I think we all have those conversations, right? So
Absolutely.
hold every thought captive.
That's good advice. That's definitely good advice. You said that before, and yeah, that's good. I like that because that's the whole Jungian philosophy. You tune yourself to a certain frequency of thought, and you can be a transmitter for ideas. And where is those ideas coming from? That's the whole thing.
That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
So if we're rooted in the Lord, nothing to worry about.
Yeah. Shout out chat. Thank you guys. Morpheus,
Yeah.
you guys are awesome. Shout out everybody. Bacon. I'll be back on this weekend a couple times. Well, shit, I got a show with Barian Files on Monday. I got a show with Veritas Road on Sunday, and I'm doing probably 1 or 2 solo shows as well because I got a lot of information that I've been in that I'm trying to get to. So it's hard to like do shows with people and then also get to what you're trying to get to. So I'm like, fuck it, we're doing 4 shows this weekend. So.
Yeah. I'm hooking up with the Veritas guys, I think on the 23rd or 24th. I like those guys. They actually, they see the world the correct way. They don't fall for the BS.
I'm going to check out one of their episodes tonight while I'm at work.
Yeah.
See what's up.
I could just tell by their social media handles and stuff like that they think the influencer industrial complex is all a bunch of BS. Yeah.
I will post upcoming notices on YouTube. I post all the time on YouTube. You will also go to my live tab. Just periodically go check out my lives. You will see some that are scheduled for upcoming scheduled lives that are on there. It's going to be under the live channel on my YouTube. But yeah, all weekend, Banger City, Weekend Warriors back at it. Ben, I love you. Thank you for having me on, brother.
Also, I talked to Steven about this, and maybe if you guys do a view party, on the 250th day of America, if I'm there, I have this Rosicrucian book.
Yeah.
Speaking about the creation of America and what it gets into as far as Atlantis. And that's when we know that everything will be complete and how it applies to America and the unification of America through Mexico. Did you know there's actually an occult belief that
I do? Yeah. Where are you getting this from? Did you get it from The Secret Destiny of America or
no? So there's
Francis Bacon's New Atlantis.
No. So there is in 1919, I think it was, the Rosicrucians held a meeting for their in-death people or something like that. I got it. And they took notes of all the speakers and stuff. And they were talking about all this stuff. It's the craziest book you've ever seen. I'll have to send it on over there.
Really?
And dude, talk about this book is nuts. I shouldn't even say it's a book. It's the notes of this meeting with all these speakers and all this kind of stuff. So
Well, it makes a lot of sense because again, you know, a Rosicrucian was Francis Bacon, who wrote about the
Yeah.
New Atlantis and how that's the whole destiny of America with Manly P. Hall, the merging of the Americas again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for some reason, it will not let me post anything down here in the chat for you guys for the Discord link. I've tried it 20 times. It will not. It says the comment has failed to post to end of the world news. I don't know why.
What is a Discord?
Discord, it's so Discord's pretty cool. It's kind of like we keep people updated. There's a bunch of like random chats you can have. It's almost like my own little social media page. Like it's like I can curate my own timeline, like post stuff from X in there so people can kind of scroll and look at it. I can have a chat. I can have another thing where I just show people the schedule for the week of what's coming out.
Yeah.
I've got a section in there, bibliography, so people can read some books that I'm referencing, all kinds of stuff. It's pretty cool. It's just like it's your own server where you have like your own sub things. And
Yeah.
yeah. it's
And
a whole
shout out to the Instagram chat. Sorry I couldn't get to those things. Like I said, I don't really know how to work those. But I love, like I said, it's harder to get to the comments when there's two people on the show because we're back and forth.
yeah.
But when I do my solo show, I love the comments. We go back and forth. So if you want to be part of the show, and I appreciate the more the merrier, right? Gives us something to talk about it. Give me a follow on YouTube. It's in the link in my bio.
Hell yeah.
All right. I think we're good.
Yeah, we're good, dude. Shout out chat, man. If you guys can't find me to
Yeah.
6G Agenda Pod at gmail.com, and I will hook you up with whatever information you need or links or whatever. So thank you, Ben. Appreciate
Hey,
you.
it's always a pleasure. And once again, just God bless everybody. Shout out Neff Hunter. I love Neff.
Shout out
Everybody's
Neff.
cool. Yeah,
Neff's my moderator. He's my Cindy.
dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, dude. He's I'm trying to get him on, you know. He's like, "Oh, I'll come on audio, you know, audio only, just hang out and shit." I'm like,
Let's
"Dude,
do
anytime."
let's do a three-way with me, you, and Neff, because Neff has a
Yeah.
bunch of great stuff.
I almost asked him to come today, just, you know, because he asked me when the show was. I was like, "What are you doing? What are you up to?" But Neff,
Yeah.
this weekend we'll get our first show going. If not, definitely the next one with Ben. We'll get
Because
that
let me
shit
tell you
going.
something. I think Neff probably knows more than both of us.
Oh, he's got
He's got
banger
tons of
information.
stuff. Yeah. But everybody does. You know, Morpheus, Oscar, anybody that watches, Cake and Cup, all you guys are awesome.
Hey, when
Trade
I
Dojo.
started this, that was the whole thing, was like, let's make it community, you know, like
Yeah.
Bill Cooper had it. It was called CAGI, Citizens Alliance for Joint Intelligence. And that's what I'm trying to do. Like, let's have a Citizens Alliance for Joint Intelligence. Tell me about what you know. I'll tell you what I know, and we'll get it going.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it's also good because we don't feel like we're crazy. There's other crazy people out there. But I guess in this world, if it's sane, I want to be crazy because I want nothing to do with it.
Exactly, dude. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks again, man. Thanks, everybody.
It's always a bless. God bless everybody.